Councillors, we'll be starting the meeting in 1 minute. Thank you. Okay, councillors, we're going to start the meeting now at 7:05 this evening on Tuesday, the 2nd of June, 2026 at the Grange in Omagh. And I'd like to welcome everybody here this evening, and I hope you give me a little bit of leeway for my first full council meeting to chair. And we'll start by going to the apologies, and Councillor Brown.
Thanks, Chair. One apology, Councillor Declan McCardle.
Thank you. Councillor Warrington.
Thank you, Chair, and all the best for the incoming year. No apologies. I think Councillor Crawford is online.
Not yet, but I'm sure.
Okay.
Councillor Robinson.
No apologies.
Thank you. Councillor Gannon. Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Thank you, Chair. Just Councillor McGrath.
Thank you. And Councillor Donnelly, you're both here, so that's fine. And Josephine and Garvin are on. So thank you. We now go to confirm the minutes, yeah? Confirm and sign the minutes. Okay. So the minutes of the last meeting for accuracy, page 1. Page 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. Councillor Ovens.
Thank you, Chair. And yes, page 7 under item 13, there was a member discussion on the issue of Enniskillen fireworks display. I'll have something to say on that later, but I think it's important that it's reflected accurately within the minutes. Just there's no reference to it at the moment. A member at the last meeting had a number of queries and the Chief Executive responded. Thank you.
At the last council meeting, Mark? Okay, we'll check that back.
I think it was the meeting before.
It may have been the meeting before, but we'll get that checked out, okay? Okay. Okay, page 7, page 8. Page 9. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. and 15. Can we have a proposer and a seconder? Councillor Thompson, I haven't forgotten you tonight, and Councillor Robinson. All agreed? Thank you. Oh, yeah. And can we have the declarations, any declarations of interest? Councillor Barton?
Thank you. Item 4.6, item 28. Can I declare an interest as an ex officio on North Cash Development Association?
Okay. Thank you. Councillor McClotty?
Thank you. Also want to declare an interest as an ex officio until we get clarity on what that exactly means. As we don't have voting rights or hold office in Case Development Association, but we are ex officio members of the committee.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Evans?
Thank you, Chair. And I suppose it was remiss of me not to wish you and the new Vice Chair well for the 12 months ahead. But Chair, just before I get on to declarations, I do think it's important. It was this meeting 12 months ago where you, in another capacity, I think it's worth noting, moved the motion initially to have me silenced. And I hope that, which I felt to be a low point for the council, that I hope we don't adopt a similar approach to the next 12 months. So I do wish you genuinely well for the next 12 months. But moving to the declarations, a few items, primarily correspondence. So it's 4.1, item 4.3, 4.4, item 19.4, 13.4, and items 2 and 4 under 13.7. Thank you.
Thank you, and I look forward to the year ahead. Councillor Mahon?
Thank you, Chair. I didn't intend on declaring interest on about the Mountain Fields as well. I'm also ex officio, but I'll see how it goes, but I don't intend to declare it. I know I've said I am, but I'll keep it in review just.
Okay, thank you, noted.
Chair, if I may.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chair, if I may declare an item on the confidential staff report, item 25, please, Policy and Resources Committee.
Thank you.
So we just go on. So
So now we're on matters arising. So item 4.1. To note the following items of correspondence regarding the NHS dental services. Oh, you don't, oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. Page 1. I'll get the hang of it. So this is for matters arising, page 1, page 2. Councillor McElduff?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Goromia Goodicahirley. Just on page 1 there, last month I would have mentioned that primary and post-primary schools from the district participated in the All-Ireland Irish Language Drama Finals. And just to note in this meeting that Omagh CBS won an overall category, overall best post-primary school. And Knocknagower Primary School carried off a major award as well. And Gaelscoil na Gran, they continued to distinguish. But just it might be a nice thing, Caherly, if you were to write a letter of congratulations to Omagh CBS and Knocknagower Primary School. I would have visited Knocknagower Primary School towards the end of my role, and I held a small chair's welcome type reception just last week about 9 a.m. for the Omagh CBS people. So just to note that formally, and I would propose accordingly, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. And can we get a seconder, please? Anne-Marie Donnelly. Thank you. All agreed? Thank you. We'll get that done, Barry. Page 2. Page 3.
Just on page 3 to note that while approval was granted for Councillor O'Reilly to attend the event on the 21st of May in the Chinese Consul, he was unable to do so. So we'll just note that for the record, please.
Okay. Page 4.
Just a couple of items, Chair. for members. We have a response from the Western Trust, towards the bottom of page 4 in relation to domiciliary care workers. So it's the 4th item in your other folder. So in the letter, the Chief Executive of the Trust has clarified firstly the workforce arrangements in relation to the Trust, noting that approximately 260 work within the Fermanagh and Omagh District Council area. They don't hold the details, Chair, specifically in the private or the independent sector, but have given an estimate and then have set out the current arrangements in place to enhance and hopefully reform some of the service delivery models. It was also agreed that we would include this matter at our forthcoming Health Subcommittee meeting later this month, and we'll certainly include that on the agenda, Chair. So really just for noting, unless members have any particular queries.
Okay, so there's nobody indicating. Can we have a proposer, please? Councillor Maguire and Councillor Robinson. All agreed? Thank you. Any more on page 4? No. Page 5.
So, Chair, a few items on page 5. Firstly, just the first recommendation there, which related to item 4.3 around, I suppose, our 2 requests specifically around dental care. We have a response from both the British Dental Association. The cover page, I appreciate, members, is a little difficult to read with the breakdown of the data. However, the letter and then the subsequent briefing note is obviously much more legible. The BDA have also confirmed their welcome for the Council's interest and their willingness to participate in an informal meeting. And we're currently holding the 22nd of September at 4 p.m. for that meeting. We're still waiting to hear from the Chief Dental Officer, as the intent was we would have a joint meeting. And then the second letter related to this item, Chairs, from the Minister of Health. And this is really providing clarity in relation to the additional investment of £8 million. So the Minister does note that's over and above the previous allocations, but also confirming that it's not targeted at a specific district level in terms of interventions, but there are proposals for the establishment of a new emergency dental clinic in the Western area.
Thanks, Alison. Nolene?
Yes, thank you, Chair. And wishing all your best, you and Stevie, for your term for the rest of the year. Yeah, I'm happy to note both of those letters from both the Dental Association and the Minister of Health, and I would like to just comment on both of them. And I also welcome the meeting that's been arranged with the Dental Association. Their response is quite an eye-opener. It's quite, they emphasise that the gravity of the situation unfolding within NHS dentistry here. They do say that the underlying, without any equivocation, the underlying reason for the collapse and most rapid disappearance of NHS dentistry is the dental payment model, which doesn't cover the true cost of care delivery and renders it no longer viable for practices to deliver NHS treatments. There's quite a few points. I'll just pick a couple of out. They say the NHS dentistry is facing an existential threat, that the North is failing the most rapid decline of NHS dentistry across the UK. The number of dental treatments are 40% below pre-pandemic levels. There's fewer than 1 million patients, just 50% are now registered for NHS dental care, compared to over 2 million that are registered with a GP. Almost all, they say, of the practice owners here in the North intend to reduce their commitment to NHS care in the coming year. These figures are really, really stark. They do say it's now or never on payment reform. And they say that the 7 million that they said, the short-term stabilisation funding from the Minister, whilst welcome, has not halted the rapid contraction of service or has improved patient access. Now, the Minister says in his letter that he says 8 million, I don't know where there's a disparity there, investment he hopes will support stabilisation of the service and improve patient access. And Dental Association are absolutely fundamentally disagreeing with that. So it's really, really serious. We're at a serious point. It's actually in crisis now. NHS dentistry of absolutely completely disappearing. I will acknowledge the minister's letters too, to be fair, and he has committed to developing an action plan, he says, by the end of March 27. But I think he really needs to look at this again and acknowledge that this isn't sufficient and it might be gone by then. He needs to address the fact that this is in a crisis now. And he must deal with the problem that the Dentist Association are pointing out. And it's number one, it's the current payment model. I understand, everybody understands the constraints of the budget, but this needs to be looked at really, really seriously. I will also, just to finish, I do commend his commitment to fund the establishment of a new emergency dental clinic in the Western area. However, I would ask for more detail on that because no offence to people in Derry, but I really would be disappointed if people from this region have to travel to Derry, which is usually where the Western area is concentrated, whilst they're in terrible pain with toothache. So a bit more explanation on that, please, as well. And just for him to recognise that this is, NHS dentistry is literally disappearing in front of our eyes. And is there
Okay.
anything they can do? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Green?
Thank you, Chair, and wish you and Stevie all the best in the year ahead.
Thank you.
Again, following on from what Nolene said there, agree entirely with everything she said. It is an absolute scandal what's happening. People literally cannot get a dentist anymore. People that is registered with a dentist their lifetime are now being told that the next appointment is their last as on a national health dentist, because the dentistry is going entirely private. So you either go private or you go looking a bit somewhere else, which there is nowhere else. Some of the figures in this report, 17% drop in 1 year of national health dentists. 96% of the dentists say they've had a negative thing about the Department of Health and the payments that be made. 96%. Surely that starts raising alarm bells. In the north here, there's £52 per capita spent, whereas in Scotland it's £67 per capita. Like that's an enormous difference there. And if you look at the amount of people that's registered in Scotland compared to here, that shows why that there's near, I think, 70% registered in Scotland, whereas down to, I think it's 39% here. Forgive me if them's not exact figures, but off the top of my head. So the other thing too, talking about putting or extra money in, but the rural West, I would love to see a breakdown on the rural West, because it's in the West here that it's the most that people are finding it the hardest to find dentists. Most of the dentists that's qualifying is registered in the East, so we are really losing out. And I suppose if I was being really cynical in this, if you look at these figures and taking that the Department of Health is over dentistry and that, you would nearly think that the UUP minister is deliberately doing this so that the North won't work.
Thank you. And I'm presuming that you're seconding the noting and seconding Nolene's proposal. And are you happy to add in the extra bit that Seamus just mentioned, Nolene? Okay, thank you. And Councillor Ruth?
Thank you, Chair. And yeah, just to echo what's been said so far, I've had discussions with dentists who have been exclusively NHS dentists their entire career out of principle, and they have told me that they simply cannot continue to do that, and they've had to take on private patients because it just no longer pays to have their staff, the premises, all the things that are required to clean So they despair, they really wish they didn't have to take that step, but that's the reality that dentists are facing at the minute. And unless we make substantial changes, as we mentioned, you know, per capita in Scotland versus here is night and day. And it's no wonder why we see that play out in terms of the percentage of patients that no longer have NHS coverage. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Josephine?
Thank you, Chair. Well, I think it's really to be welcomed that we're going to have a meeting in the autumn with the British Dental Association. Clearly, we are facing a crisis in the provision of general dental services, and this comes at a time when the standard of dental health within our council area is probably at an all-time low, and compounded by the fact that the costs of accessing private dental care are almost prohibitively high. Even for those who can afford to go privately, the costs are really very high indeed, even for basic checkups and cleaning and so on. So I think, you know, we have to value our dental services because they form just a key part of our health and well-being. So it's good that we as a body are lobbying for this. And I do welcome Minister Nesbitt's letter and the funding, but I would agree with Councillor Hayes that the current way in which dentists are funded is wholly inadequate to meet the needs of running their practices. And dental practices are private businesses. And we all know the pressures on businesses of all sorts in terms of premises, maintenance, heating, staff payments, and so on. So there is a real crisis, and I welcome the Minister's intention to draw up an action plan, but I think we need to encourage him to bring the timeframes forward, to look at that urgently, because otherwise we would cease to have general dental services within our council area, and I think that would be an absolute disaster. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so that letter will be sent. Is everybody in agreement? Thank you. And we look forward to the meeting. I'll just bring Councillor Ovens in.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a declaration on that new letter.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so no more issues on page 5. There is, yeah. Okay.
Chair, just at the bottom of page 5, members will recall we had previously brought to your attention the Corrymeela Community's invitation to the Day of Reflection service, which will be held in St Anne's Cathedral on the 21st of June. So if there are any nominations for that, we would need to take them this evening. Equally, members may just prefer to note receipt of the invitation.
Would anybody like to either attend or propose to note? And second by Councillor Thompson. Thank you. That's Councillor Victor Warrington and Councillor Thompson. All agreed? Thank you. Page 6. 7. Councillor Ovens.
Thank you, Chair. And I checked actually just in the intervening period. So it was last month, it was the 5th of May, where Councillor Gannon raised the issue. And that's why I'd requested the page 7 of the minutes be updated. So, Chair, just connected to that discussion, I'm looking online at the Fermanagh Herald website, and I note there was a headline a couple of weeks ago, and it says, the headline is, "No Halloween fireworks display planned for Enniskillen." So I'm just very conscious, Chair, that we're now in June. Very quickly, if this council doesn't do soon, we potentially have lost the opportunity or will have ran the clock down in relation to the provision of a fireworks display. And again, I welcome the fact that money was put into OMA specifically for a fireworks display and hopefully to get that up and running. But Chair, I do really worry the fact that we're now in this position. There is a question mark over the provision of Enniskillen fireworks. And again, I want to pay tribute to BID, Enniskillen BID, and in particular NSERC, the generosity of NSERC, because from my sense, they have stepped in where this council has failed for a number of years. But now there seems to be a question mark over that, Chair. So I would propose that we write as a council to Enniskillen BID to try to get clarity in terms of what exactly the position is for this year. And if they come back and say they're not yet in a position, or it's subject to finance, or they're perhaps looking for outside grant support, then that I very much am of the opinion that at that point this council will again have to re-investigate this issue. I'm not talking about rescinding the issue of OMA. The decision taken in OMA was the right decision. I'm talking about a decision that hasn't been taken for Enniskillen, specifically if it is necessary for this council to put additional money into a pot specifically for the provision of a display in Enniskillen. So, Chair, can I make that as a proposal tonight that we write to Enniskillen BID seeking urgent clarity on this? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maguire.
Margaret Caherly, just to declare an interest as a director of BID in Enniskillen.
Okay. Councillor Warrington. Yeah.
I'll second Councillor Ovan's proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Have a look for agreement. Yeah, that will I do just Chair, I'll just maybe clarify. I've also looked back on my notes just in relation to the minutes. So the only note that I have, we'll obviously check the audio recording, is Councillor Gannon had queried the recommendation from the regeneration community by way of accuracy, and specifically if the Enniskillen BID application had made reference to the provision of fireworks within it. So to confirm that the application from Enniskillen BID confirmed that they were providing fireworks. So I think we'll certainly seek the clarification. What I'm conscious of is we wouldn't obviously want their application invalidated if inaccurate or false information was provided.
So do we still need to write to them then? So do we still need to write to them? You still want that? Is everybody in agreement? Okay. Page 8. Page 9. Yep.
Chair, just in relation to page 9, item 17.5, members, you'll recall that we discussed at the last meeting the invitation from Invest NI to meet with councillors to provide a briefing on the up-to-date information, and it was requested that would be in advance of the meeting we would liaise with Invest to ensure we had the up-to-date information, particularly the per capita investment. So Invest have come back and advised that their statistics would be for the period until the 30th of June. So as such, they're very happy to provide it. They're suggesting that it may be more appropriate to move the meeting to either the mornings in all question of the 7th, the 8th or 9th of July, by which point they would have the updated information and we would be able to have shared that with you in advance. Just to note, members, the 7th is the council meeting in the evening. The 8th of July would be your sort of stacked meetings, right the way through, and the 9th is currently free. So it's whether you're amenable to changing, and if so, would you have a preference for any of those days? As before, we would offer it on a hybrid basis, albeit the preference would be for in-person attendance.
Thanks, Alison. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair, and thanks to Alison for that. I'd be happy enough to propose the 9th of July, as I know we have all the meetings stacked to the full council and everything before it. So the 9th of July, I would be happy enough to propose that, because they bring in the figures in for the close of the end of June. So we need to have the accurate information if we're going to have this meeting. And it was to be in person, and I've spoken to a representative of Invest Northern Ireland as well recently, and she would prefer it to be in person, but if it has to be hybrid, so be it. But I'm happy to propose that it's the 9th of July. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, can I just have a seconder, please? Oh, Councillor Green.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, would it not make more sense to be, if we're all here on the 7th and 8th, to try and have the meeting on the 7th and 8th rather than bringing us back again on the 9th for a single meeting with Invest NI? I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not sure why unless there's time constraints that we couldn't fit it in.
Sorry, Chair, it's entirely a matter for members. Certainly, this would be a morning meeting, so obviously on the Tuesday, the council meeting would just be the normal 7 o'clock, and it's a 2 p.m. start, I think 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. on, sorry, 2 p.m. start on the 8th, so there would be scope in the morning. If we were to proceed on the 7th, I'd suggest we would do that in Enniskillen, which would tie in obviously with the council meeting, and the committee meetings are in Omagh, so it's an Invest certainly are flexible, Chair. And it's
And
free
is
for
it
that.
only in the morning they can meet? They couldn't meet at 3 o'clock on the evening of
Oh,
the
sorry.
council meeting?
Oh, no, I'm sure we could ask them that question. Sorry, we had previously, the previous time was morning, but I'm sure they'd be amenable to work with us. Not, we could try afternoon, that's fine.
Councillor Thompson?
Yeah, thanks again, Chair. Taking on board what Councillor Green has said. I'd be happy enough to go with 8. I know that's our day for stacking the meetings, but happy to go with 8, wherever that can be fitted in. I'm looking at the Chief Executive at this time, wherever that can be fitted in with regard to our stacking as well. So if the 8 suits, that's fine. I'm happy to propose that, Chair.
Okay, are you happy enough with that, Seamus, to second it? Yeah.
Thank
All
you, Chair.
agreed? Okay, we'll try and sort that out. Thank you. Page 10.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Just on item 17.9, to draw members' attention, we have a response from Forest Service. This is, sorry, beg your pardon, from the Department of Agriculture in relation to the planting of trees, and specifically in relation to the new scheme which is underway in relation in the south. So the Minister has referenced that in his response and has indicated that he continues to be satisfied with the existing way leaves provision that is applied in Northern Ireland.
Thank you. Councillor McNulty?
Thank you, Chair. Just in relation there to the Forest Service, I wonder if a letter could be written asking for clarity when they would finish work that they've taken on in Straduff and Dromore. The Forestry Service have been there about 15 months. 15 months, but I don't think they have been back since, so I just want clarification if they will come back to tidy up that road between themselves and DFA, whoever is responsible. Thank you,
Okay,
Chair.
we can find that out. Councillor Green?
Yeah, if there's a second or need for that, I'll second. But
Thank you.
just in relation to the letter, I think it was me that asked for this letter to be wrote to Forest Service. Like, I don't know whether it's deliberate or whether they're just letting on they didn't understand what the letter that we sent them meant. The letter we sent and the intention of it was to ask about Forest Service own ground. But the letter that they replied to seemed to be rules around private landowners and that had forest. Could we write back, because that wasn't what I wanted to, the question wasn't about private land. The question was about Forest Service replanting on Forest Service land and whether they would follow the same guidance that the 26 counties are having, rather than what they are talking about, 10 or 15 metres, rather than the 60 or 70 metres that's recommended by and supported by NIE. So could we maybe write back and maybe explain to them, maybe we need to write it in simpler language that they'd be able to understand what we're asking this time, but whatever way we phrase it, that they would be able to understand it properly.
Okay. Councillor Feely?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I just want to wish you and Stevie best luck for the upcoming year as well. Yeah, I'll second Seamus' proposal, right back to them.
And happy to note the letter. Yep. Thank you. And all in agreement? Good. Page 11. Alison?
Thanks, Chair. Just item 19.3, again, members, to draw your attention to your other correspondence folder. So there is a response from the practice manager from Drumragh Family Practice in response to the concerns raised at the last council meeting. And then just in the penultimate paragraph of the letter, requesting that the council would consider lobbying the Health Minister for adequate funding required to operate a primary care service to meet the needs of the community. And we have made various representations on this matter in the past, Chair, but it may be on the back of the specific evidence provided by Drumragh that that's something you may wish to consider.
Councillor Hawkes.
Thank you, Chair. I think it was me that originally raised this issue. I actually asked a very straightforward question, just how you actually, were able to secure a non-urgent appointment at the Drumragh practice. Now, this letter fails to answer that completely. They don't even mention a non-urgent appointment. I actually have had experience of this. Like, I'm not speaking even on behalf of someone else. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. When I ring up at 8:30 in the morning, a receptionist deems whether I am urgent or non-urgent. I'm obviously sitting here tonight and I'm non-urgent, so I never get an appointment. There's no such thing as a routine appointment that I can find out. And that's all I wanted an answer to, but there is no answer to it. Like, that letter definitely doesn't answer that. They don't even mention it. So I don't even know if it's worthwhile writing back to them or not to ask about a non-urgent appointment, to be truthful. So thank you for your attention to it.
So are you just happy to know, whilst you're disappointed, are you just happy to know? I think it's a common thing across GP surgeries at the minute. So, oh, sorry, hold on. Sorry.
Sorry. Definitely disappointed that it was just this very straightforward question, and we received. If you were looking for this answer, you wouldn't get it. It was the best of it, but definitely didn't answer my question. So. But thanks to the staff that tried to get an answer, and Alison. Thank you.
And you're happy to note the response. Okay. Councillor McElduff.
Yep, thank you. I think Councillor Hawkes raises a very important issue, from the point of view of citizens, patients. And I have the greatest respect. I support everybody who works in primary care, obviously. They work really, really hard, and we value them immensely in our communities. But the question remains, about the telephone system, so I don't know whether that comes from a GP federation or the Department of Health, but if the people are identifying, and they are, difficulties getting through, difficulties even getting through on phone lines to GP practices, well then, how do we get a resolution to that? So I would support the sentiment of what Councillor Hawkes is saying, and you would worry, that it's affecting health outcomes. But again, I would caveat that with great respect for everybody who works in the primary care system, managers of health centres, managers of GP practices, GPs, ancillary staff, nurses, everybody. But the technological side of it, getting through, is a big issue for some people. So have we adequately addressed that as a council in terms of getting answers, is my question.
Are you making a proposal?
Yeah, I would take appropriate action to contact the GP Federation and the Western Health Trust and the Department of Health, because we would be letting people down if we didn't pursue this. Thank you.
Okay. Are you happy enough to second that, Shirley? Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to Josephine now online, and then to you after, Eddie.
Okay, well, thank you, Chair. And we in general practice have been aware for a long time, since COVID really, that there are major difficulties with accessing GP services. And that is a matter of huge concern, not only to the general public, but also to us as a profession. I think that this council has written to the Minister on numerous occasions, highlighting the fact that the situation in general practice is that the demand for service by far exceeds the ability of the profession to deliver that service. And that this situation has arisen owing to years and years of chronic underfunding and failing to invest in primary care services, which are really the bedrock of all of health and healthcare delivery. So I think we need to keep the pressure on the Department of Health to look at the funding for general practice, not just primary care generally, but general practice, to make sure that it is optimized. In terms of getting through on the telephone, the limiting factor is the number of admin staff or other staff who are available to take the calls and deal with the calls. Now, members will be aware that in part through the efforts of this council, we now have multidisciplinary teams in our federation area, in Fermanagh and in Omagh. And that is a huge development and one which we welcome greatly. And that will include the ability of our patients to directly access first contact senior physiotherapists with musculoskeletal problems and also mental health practitioners. And later on in the autumn, we hope as well that we will have social workers embedded within our practices. So our admin staff have undergone extensive training in what's called care navigation, so that when a patient rings with a problem, that respectfully we ask the patient to divulge some of their symptoms so that they can be signposted to the most appropriate point that their care can be delivered. But still, demand outstrips our ability to meet that demand. So I think we as a council must continue to lobby the Department of Health for increased funding so that we will get more general practice practitioners into the profession and stabilise primary care in our area. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Josephine. Thank you for that. Councillor Ruth.
Thank you, Chair. I do feel we have to just be a little bit careful on this front in terms of where the frustrations are directed on this front. You know, I think the practice manager there has put it as best as she possibly could. But there was 21,000 phone calls to that surgery in the month of May. Now they're open Monday to Friday, so that's over 1,000 phone calls a day to that one surgery. That's just not possible to manage anywhere. 1,000 phone calls a day is insane. It is absolutely insane. So I can understand why there's frustrations there. I see the frustrations on a daily basis. No one gets into healthcare to disappoint people. You know, that's not what we're there for. And it's very frustrating for everyone involved, not just patients. It's very frustrating when you don't get to provide outcomes that both you and the patient want. But I feel like we have to direct this in the correct manner. This is a funding issue. This is an inability to deal with the demand. It's not because of an inability of staff to deliver on workload. It's simply overwhelmed by the volume of that. That's 1,000 phone calls a day. That has to take it in the context. Thank you.
Thank you, and that is an important point to make as well. Councillor Hawkes.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me back in again. I'll just tell you the end result of my how I did eventually get to speak. I only wanted to speak to the doctor. I wrote a letter, so that's for everybody out there. I actually wrote him a letter, and the day he received the letter, he rang me. Now, no receptionist, I was probably 10 or 12 of those calls, because no receptionist could get a doctor to ring me back. No receptionist could give me any result. The only thing the receptionist could do was tell me I was non-urgent and I wasn't entitled to an appointment.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It is getting the balance right, but thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that. David Mahon.
Thank you, Chair, and I wish yourself well and Stephen well for the ensuing year.
Thank you.
I suppose just it's correct that we don't want to point the blame in the wrong direction, and that's very important because people are struggling to manage the footfall and the phone calls. But I am aware of one constituent who surgery within my DEA was trying to make an appointment for their child. And the more frustrating thing is that they couldn't get the phone answered. Now, they try, I think, like 50 times, and they jumped in the car, they drove to the GP, and they went inside and they phoned, and the phone was just ringing, and there was a couple or three receptionists there, and it just wasn't being answered. So to me, that is frustrating. If you have a sick child, the last thing you want is to have a phone just ringing out. So if there's anything can be done, I surely would be in support of that. But we really do. If we can't manage to answer the phone for a parent with a sick child, like something badly wrong.
Okay, thank you. So we'll write the letter as proposed by Barry, because it is obviously a growing issue. I'll let you in quick there. Councillor Evans?
Just another declaration, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in agreement? Thank you. And we'll move on. Move on to 11.
It's just the bottom of that.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Chair, just at the bottom of actually page 11 into the, on the top of page 12, we have a response from the Health Minister. This is in relation to the funding for the graduate entry medical students and support for them studying elsewhere in the United Kingdom. So the Minister sets out, I suppose, the funding arrangements and the respective responsibilities between his department, but also specifically then the Department for the Economy, and the various arrangements that have been put in place thus far.
Thanks, Alison. Josephine, is your hand up now or from before?
Yeah, it's on this item, Chair,
Okay.
if I may,
Yeah,
if
go
I
ahead.
may come in.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, well, I mean, I welcome this clarification from Minister Nesbitt, and I do want to say how useful it is that students on Department of Health commissioned programs can access qualifications in nursing and midwifery, including postgraduate qualifications, which are sponsored through the Department of Health. And that has traditionally been the way to encourage our nurses to join the profession, which is very rewarding, but also very demanding. I think there might be a case for the Department of Health looking at the way in which graduate students would wish to study a second degree like medicine. And I think that that could be part of workforce planning. It's interesting, in fact, Chair, that in the United States of America, to get into medical school, all medical courses, as far as I am aware, are graduate courses. So you have to have your degree before you go into medical school. So I think that there is something to be looked at there, and I would propose that we would write to Minister Nesbitt asking him to explore whether or not his department would consider these funded programs for graduate students who wish to study medicine. As well as that, I understand that the Minister for the Economy is looking at a review into higher education. And at present, there is no funding from for second degrees, postgraduate degrees, but perhaps this is an area that they could look at and explore whether or not the Department of Economy would look at higher education and who can access funding for courses like postgraduate medicine. So I'd make that a proposal, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And can you also note the letter, Josephine, please?
Yes, I will, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. There's nobody else indicating, but can we have a seconder? Shirley, thank you. All agreed? Thank you. Councillor Evans?
Another declaration, Chair.
Thank you. Where are we now? 12 still? You guys coming back in?
Sorry, Chair, thank you. Item 19.5, members, we have had 3 responses just in relation to Struhl Shared Education Campus and the concerns regarding the construction traffic. So firstly, a response from Chief Inspector Dodds, increasing and advising rather that he will increase visibility and also speed checks within the area. Secondly, a response from Jennifer Morgan, who was the previous project director but now has moved to a new position within SIB as Chief Delivery Officer, and noting that she had forwarded the correspondence to the new project director, who is Rory Lavery, and the response then is detailed. So in essence, Chair, Mr. Lavery advises that they haven't previously received any concerns on the matter. They are fully committed to working in full compliance with all of the statutory obligations and in any investigations, and have set out the traffic management and mitigation measures. But perhaps just to draw to members' attention, the paragraph highlighted a duration of increased activity, which indicates that that would be from last week, the 25th of May, for a period of approximately 8 weeks, activity levels are going to increase. So I imagine the disruption for residents and concerns may also grow during that period.
Okay. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thanks again, Chair. Thank you for Alison for outlining that. I'm happy to propose the noting of the letters that have been sent back to us with regard to this issue. We do, as obviously town councillors, we do take on concern with regard to our constituents out there with regard to this issue, but hopefully those things have now been answered, and that actions will be taken to enhance what we have in the Stroul, and that actions will be taken by the contractor and everyone else, and take everything that's been said on board. So I'm happy to propose the letters that are noted. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor McColgan.
Thanks, Chair. I was going to second, but just happy to support that. I mean, the Stroul Education Campus is a huge, massive undertaking, which will be of immense value to the town and district when it's finished. But obviously, during construction, there's going to be some concerns. There's going to be some obstruction and to the community with vehicles and moving of machinery and that. But I'm glad to see that the concerns that were raised last month have been taken on board, and that there is mitigation there to balance this. And as Alison said, these couple of weeks period, whenever there's going to be an intensity in traffic disruption, hopefully will smooth itself out after that. But I mean, the project at the end of the day will be well worth the disruption that we've gone through at the moment.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Little.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I note the correspondence. I'm a wee bit disappointed in the correspondence now. It doesn't address the issue of damage on the Glencam Road or the Old Minefield Road. And I know that the director, Rory Lavery, has talked about precautions that have been put in place, but I don't know what Gorton Road or Glencam Road or Old Minefield Road that he's driving on, but it doesn't sound like it's the same roads that I'm driving on, because there are literally people jumping out of the road of these HGVs. They're jumping into hedges, they'll avoid them on the Glencam Road. The Glencam Road is not suitable for HGVs. And I understand that the project is very important, and a project of this size and this magnitude, you need to allow a wee bit of leeway. But the Glencam Road should be out of bounds for heavy goods vehicles. And we have met with the AFI previously and addressed these concerns. And a note here is that Director Rory Lavery has said, once vehicles leave the site, they operate under the provisions of the road traffic regulation orders. That's basic stuff. They should be doing that anyway, you know. So I just think it's worth noting that it hasn't addressed the damage on the Glencam Road, and it doesn't specifically say that the HGVs will stop using the Glencam Road, which they absolutely should. So just a note. Thank you.
Okay. Are you making just a statement or just making a proposal? Oh, yeah. Yep.
Sorry, yeah. Well, if we could respond to him and ask Rory Lavery if he could clarify his position specifically on the Glencam Road, in relation to heavy goods vehicles on that road, because it's. I mean, anybody who's ever been on it will know it's not suitable. It's not suitable for cars at the best of the time. It certainly isn't suitable for heavy goods vehicles. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor McElduff, and then I'll bring you in, Josephine.
Thank you. Okay. It's a related matter to this correspondence. With all the disruption that has happened, is happening right now, some businesses are losing very significant revenue, given the particular characteristics of some businesses. You know, okay if your staff can walk into a business and operate a computer all day, but where there's customers crossing the door and are being put off, and there's almost no footfall because of that. I'm thinking of one specific business at Mountjoy Road. I have met with the proprietor, and the proprietor has lost significant revenue, and the balance sheet will show that, and it's directly as a consequence of the constant roadworks and associated matters like lack of notification about closures. There also has been, cancellations of orders, that type of thing, disruption of water supply, access in and out of premises for customer, even blocking up nearby car park, all that type of thing. That has pertained for one business in particular that I'm aware of for many months now. So I would like advice on any mitigations which such a business person could benefit from, including possible financial compensation and rates relief opportunities. So any other advice or steer would be very welcome, but one thing I would like to do is I would like to maybe arrange an informal meeting for that business with a member of our economic development team or business support team, for advice. But outside of that, I would make a proposal that we write to LPS and ask about the rates relief situation for businesses that are directly impacted by roadworks pertaining to months and months on end, when they can show a demonstrable loss of earnings, loss of revenue. So that's
Okay.
my proposal, Chair. And if there's any other possible actions that Sinead or Chief Executive could point to, I would welcome that and would welcome that intervention. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, you happy to second Rory's proposal?
yep.
And Rory, you happy to second? I'll just bring Josephine in first and then the Chief Executive. Oh, well, I'll bring Errol in after Josephine. Josephine?
Yeah, well, thank you, Chair. And, it's very good that this issue is being discussed in Council and that hopefully remedial action is being taken in respect of the traffic flows from the Struhl shared educational building site and the impact that it's having on our rural roads, the Glencam Road in particular. And also the issue relating to the safety of pedestrians and road users. And I do welcome Inspector Dodd's assurances that there will be speed checks carried out on these roads to ensure that vehicles are not exceeding the speed limits. But I support what has been said, but I would also like to propose that we write to DFI Road Service. I mean, I have already communicated with them personally, but as a council, if we write to DFI Road Service, highlighting again the impact of this heavy traffic on the Glencam Road and to request that they take urgent remedial action because the road is in an absolutely disgraceful state and it has to be reinstated as a matter of urgency. So I would make that proposal, Chair. Thank you.
Do you want to come in and say that? Oh, okay. I'll just bring Councillor Thompson in there quick and then we go to...
Yeah, thanks again, Chair, for allowing me to come in again. It's just I know some of us as town councillors met with the contractor involved probably around September time, and Councillor McAduff in his role as chair facilitated that meeting. We were told at that time that this contract or this whole project was going to take a year. So it's going to be September 2026 before it's completed. I don't disagree with anything that's been said or proposed there this evening at all, but it was just obviously people's going to action what has been highlighted to them by this council. So I have to take that on board as well. But I think it's been proposed further to that. I'm happy to support. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Alison?
Thank you, Chair. I'll maybe just come in, members, on a couple of the points, but I'll just start perhaps with Councillor Deehan's last proposal. Chair, just to note, at our last meeting we did actually agreed to write to DFI Roads highlighting our concerns about the damage and the need for urgent remedial works. Just to note, we don't have a response back to that. So it wouldn't be appropriate to do a further letter, but we will obviously just send a reminder to them that that response is awaited if members were content. In relation to Councillor McElduff's queries, and perhaps just a couple of additional suggestions, Chair. I think, and indeed at the meeting that Councillor Thompson has referenced, and I know Director John Hughes would have participated in the discussions, we have both formally and informally raised concerns with DFI Roads locally regarding the management of the contract. I certainly know from our perspective, we consider that we're not receiving adequate notifications on a variety of matters. I do know from separate representations concerns in relation to the business community, and my understanding is, I think at a recent First Holy Communion at Christ the King, there was a requirement for urgent movement of traffic lights as well, which hadn't been notified to the parish. So I think there maybe are lessons that could be learned around communications in terms of the contract. With regard specifically to financial mitigations and compensation, members may recall that there was I appreciate the scale is different, but there was quite significant concern at the time in Belfast of the closure of the Boyne Bridge. And the Department for Communities, as I understand, made available financial assistance to mitigate the financial loss to those premises and to allow to sort of tide them over for this period. I know that the Education Minister at a recent visit to the Struhl site had noted there would be a significant impact on the town centre as a result of the completion of the campus, but certainly my suggestion would be that we do write to DFC, and given the precedent that has been applied in other areas, that we would at least investigate to see if something similar could be applied to Omagh on this occasion.
Thanks, Alison. And I'll just come back quickly to you, Barry.
Yeah, I'm very happy to incorporate that into my proposal, the writing to Department for Communities. I mean, Omagh is under the remit of Department for Communities when it comes to regeneration powers and all of that, and would like them to step up more at times. And this is one of those times. They need to be making it known to businesses being impacted that they have a route to mitigation, a route to compensation for loss of revenue. The business that I'm talking to, and I would like to introduce that business to our business support team, our economic development team, they can show losses over a substantive period, cancellations of bookings, all of that. Thank you, Chair.
Yep. Yes, that can be arranged. So so we've had proposals and seconders and everybody's in agreement. Lovely, thank you. And we're continue on page 13.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chair, just for noting page 13, it's the correspondence received from Kesh Development Association. Members, you'll recall that there was a call-in on this matter last month, and the resolution therefore was that it would the detail would be discussed at a future meeting of the Environmental Services Committee after KDA's annual general meeting, which has now happened. So that report will come to the July Environmental Services meeting. So simply for noting, and in the intervening period, Chair, I will check with the lead legal services officer in relation to the status of the ex officio as described members of the council on the committee.
Thanks, Alison. Councillor Ruth.
Thank you, Chair. Would it be possible to propose that the council has a meeting with the new KDA committee to discuss the future of Matland Fields and perhaps to assist them if they have any plans in what they would feel would be appropriate going forward? I feel like there's maybe a bit of energy and viv in some of the local residents there that want to try and put their best foot forward. And I think we can do well to try and assist them in improving what could be a useful local feature. Thank you.
Councillor Green.
Yeah, thank you. And it's great to see community coming together around something like this. I suppose I was always a bit confused on this one, and maybe the chief executive can clarify it, or if she can't clarify it tonight, maybe at a future meeting. When this decision was originally made, who proposed it and who seconded it? Which or where did the proposal and seconding come from?
If members are, we do have that information. I don't have it right in front of me, but John Hughes may be able to assist me. But while the discussion is continuing, we'll find that certainly, Chair. We do have it available.
And Councillor Gannon?
Thank you, Chair, and I think that's a good suggestion from Councillor Ruth there to get with the new committee there, KDA, and see what their thoughts are now that there is a new committee in place, to try and find the path and the solution forward to this. And I've heard there's a lot of enthusiasm to be part of KDA recently, which was great to hear. So I'll just second that proposal that we do arrange some sort of meeting or engagement with the group.
Okay, everyone in agreement? That's no problem. Thank you.
Chair, if members are content, we'll review, we do have it here somewhere, and we'll come back before the end of the meeting on Councillor Green's query. Happy with, and we'll progress the meeting accordingly.
So that's the end of that now, because that was all the same thing.
Just go for completeness, page 14 and 15 and that included.
Okay, just to complete page 14 and 15, and that's that.
On to item 60, which is the 5 items from committee and plans, which is.
And we go through it one.
So accuracy first.
Was I pointing at? Oh, yes. So we'll now go on to the planning committee for accuracy. Yep. And the chair is Glenn Campbell, so you can keep an eye on this, Glenn. Page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Roisin?
Yes, Chair. I think it's page 9. I think I checked. I think at one stage there, Alison, I think my name doesn't appear on voting. I'm at the meeting, but my vote hasn't been registered on one of those, I think.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Chair, so this is the vote on it is page 9, I think. Now, Chair, we did check this, so not everyone did vote. So that I think that's the reason why, because when we saw the drafts, we did cross-reference back, so a vote wasn't recorded from you, Councillor.
Was I online or was I in person? Do you remember, Alison?
Excuse me, Chair. I'll just tell you now. I think you were attending virtually, but no vote was recorded from you, Councillor.
Right. Would it be possible that I just missed it then whenever it came up, or yeah? Well, that's okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so page 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Councillor Campbell to propose. Oh, I'm waiting for you to do it. I'll do it.
Caherly, and I too wish yourself and Councillor McCann well for the year ahead, and I'm happy to propose the minutes.
Yes, please.
Oh, and the seconder, Councillor Robinson, and everybody in agreement with it, who's there? So now we go through for matters arising.
Yes, please, Chair.
So matters arising, page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17. So we do that. That's it. So thank you. We'll move to the next item, environmental services. The chair at this meeting on Wednesday, the 6th of May was Councillor Nolene Hayes. So for accuracy, page 1, page 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got one
Yes.
issue on page 5.
Chair, just on page 5, would be asking for the adoption of the minutes without the recommendation at item 5.1.1, which is regarding the dual language signage, and we'll provide an update, a further update under matters arising. And I know the Director of Community and Wellbeing has been in discussions, or has in communications with members and advised them. It's specifically in relation to a query at the meeting regarding one of the addresses. So we'll deal with that on matters arising.
Okay, thank you. 5, page 6, page 7 and page 8. So we'll go, Councillor Hayes.
Thank you, Chair. Just coming in as last time as Chair of the Environmental Services Committee, just happy to propose the minutes there, Chair.
Thank you. And seconder, Councillor Maguire and everybody there in agreement. So we'll go to matters arising, page 1, page 2. Councillor Ovens.
Thank you very much, Chair. And it's page 2 under 4.1, and there's a reference to a tourism focus in Enniskillen Town Centre, Chair. And I suppose I make the comment that I'm very conscious now that it was the 1st of January that FLT was absorbed into the council, but now we're on the 2nd of June, the mouth of summer, and maybe I'm being unfair, but I look at even what the council talked about. It talked about there was going to be an increased commitment to tourism and destination marketing across Fermanagh and Omagh Council as a result of that service coming in-house. Maybe I'm being unfair, but as I say, in the mouth of summer, from my perspective, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I think we're doing less promotion rather than more. So, Chair, I think it would be useful, very useful actually, if even for next week's PNR committee, we could get an update just in terms of how that service, so the service and the staff that came into the council, really it's a programme of work, you know, the efforts undertaken to date, and appreciate there may be an argument of, well, what council or what council committee does this fall under? FLT has been discussed previously within PNR, but not particularly precious. But I think on the mouth of summer, it would be useful one way or another to get an update just in terms of FLT, or in terms of now the service within the council. What has it delivered over its first 5 months, and what is the plan for the next 7 months? And I appreciate there's the wider piece then in terms of the overall strategy or development plan moving forward. Thank you.
Chair, happy to provide that, but it would, as Councillor Ovens maybe was intimating, it would go to regeneration and community. The only reason why matters previously had gone to FLT, or sorry, gone to policy and resources, was specifically regarding the staffing element. But obviously any member can attend that committee, it would have access to the papers, but we can certainly seek to have that included for next week's meeting.
Thanks, Alison. McAdoo, Councillor McAdoo.
No problem. Thank you, Chair. I want to make a suggestion that our director, John Boyle, take a look at this one. And it's a very specific tourism marketing idea, you know, just in the here and now. This morning at 8:30, we were eagerly awaiting, you know, whether the Tyrone supporters were on the road to a far destination like Kerry, or whether somebody was coming to us. So we learned this morning, and it's going to be decided, you know, the date and time of this match. So Tyrone is going to host Mayo on the weekend of the 13th and 14th of June, Saturday and Sunday. Could be a Saturday evening fixture, could be Sunday. But I was delighted to see the chair at the launch this morning of the Omagh Chamber of Commerce Business Awards. You know, it's great Debbie, that was one of your first engagements, and you did really well at it, and we spoke to a lot of people there. But some people there chatted to myself about this idea of a specific marketing initiative, perhaps in County Mayo with social media or whatever, inviting people to stay a day longer, telling people about the attractions, about the hospitality providers locally, in Omagh, because of the match, the big match. Now, the Mayo supporters travel well. They travel in numbers. They're one of the best supported teams in the country, Dublin and Armagh would feature strongly there as teams that have travelling supporters, But Mayo are up there too. So this has been mentioned before, by Omas and Endis tell us, that if there's a big fixture, in Omagh or Enniskillen, a big county fixture like this, there could be thousands of travelling supporters. And so I'm proposing that our council work with the Omagh Chamber of Commerce and with the local hospitality providers to maybe create an agile response here, an agile response initiative, which would take a look at maximising the impact of visiting Mayo supporters who will be travelling in large numbers. Now, it'll be tomorrow afternoon when we know whether it's Saturday evening or Sunday, There's some logistical issues about the Louth Armagh fixture that's impacting on the delay, but we'll find that out tomorrow. So I think it's very important you know that, Debbie.
Thank you very much.
So I'm making that proposal.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Councillor Little.
Thank you, Chair. And just like to say, Councillor McAuliffe is a very important point, and it's definitely worth exploring. We are going to have potentially thousands of Mayo supporters coming up to the town next weekend. And in years gone by, when the GA was experimenting with the early formats, we had the Super 8s. I remember we had Kerry and Dublin up in the same fixtures, and there was thousands of people here over the course of 2 separate weekends, and it was a real economic boom for the town, And I was in the town this morning speaking to different publicans in the town, and I can tell you they're delighted. And the restaurants are delighted as well, and the shopkeepers are delighted as well. So it's definitely worth exploring something, and I'll be happy to second the motion.
Yep, lovely. Thank you. And Councillor Roof.
Thanks, Chair. On a slightly different note, not that I'm trying to take it away from Tyrone at the minute, but we also at the minute are hosting Spring Watch in Crom Castle. And, this is a huge opportunity for us as a council to demonstrate nationally what we have on our doorstep. And could I ask, there's about 1.5 million people on average are watching this every episode. What are we doing to capitalise upon that, and what FLT are able to provide in terms of advertising and targeted advertising on people who are actually enjoying the series and really seeing what Fermanagh has to offer?
Thank you. And Councillor Feely.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to support Barry's proposal there, and of course, Eddie's there as well. But we mustn't forget Fermanagh either. They have New York coming to Brewster Park for the Tailteann Cup, so I thought we'd just give the wee plug there as well in case Tyrone was getting carried away there.
Alison, you're coming in there.
No, Chair, it was really just it was a minor point. If members are content, and I know Councillor McElduff had referenced probably in relation to the Sporting Link, the Director of Community and Wellbeing, but I suppose just to be clear, the hospitality, the engagement, the tourism would fall within the regeneration and planning portfolio. So it's certainly asked Sinead to get that work progressed, but we'll obviously work cross council in that regard.
Okay. Page 4. 5. Oh, sorry, Alison.
So, Chair, sorry, just in relation then to page 5 and members, this just relates then to the dual language signage, and as referenced at the meeting, Councillor McCardle actually had queried the outcome of the assessment for Sleeve View. And the director advised that he would review that and come back to members. So there was an administrative error, and there were responses received in relation to this development, and the correct results, which were then circulated to members, showed that 17% of the occupiers of the development were in favour of the erection of dual language street nameplate, and therefore the threshold was met. So therefore we'd be recommending, Chair, that Slieve View, which also has met the threshold, would be included within the recommendations previously considered at the May Environmental Services Committee for dual language signage.
Thanks, Alison. Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair, and happy to propose that as suggested by Alison there. I was just going to say, in terms of the error, can we know what the error actually was? And in terms of this, I know I queried about post and late replies and late, because of late post. How could we have a look at, maybe for future, how many responses do come in late in future? You know, have an idea of how many do, to see the impact of that. But I just want to query it, because not to get ahead of ourselves with the meeting tomorrow. I know there's another one that has come back with 0 replies, and it's just strange because we don't often get them with 0 replies. So maybe if that could be looked at as well ahead of tomorrow night. That's Springtown Road, I believe. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor O'Reilly.
Chair, it's around the same issue, just that there's an estate in Newton Butler, and certainly some of the residents have got the notification out and others have clearly not got the notification out as of yet. Now, it may be that, again, the postal service is just dreadful, and that if we're seeing that there is some of the residents not getting it out, then the deadline on the other side of a certain date, people will have posted which they believe in good time and wouldn't have met the deadline. So that could well be an issue. Now, I'm not quite sure how you get around that. There has to be a deadline somewhere to be able to respond. But a bit like Adam there, I'd be interested to see if there is a percentage coming in post deadline that we need to be able to look at some other way, maybe of trying to make the services of this council as efficient as possible, and whether we have to rely on postal communication solely as a way of reply, or whether the electronic means can be utilized as well.
Yeah.
Chair, just specifically maybe in relation to the mistake or the error, and certainly I can ask John to comment more fully. My understanding was it was simply there were 2 administrators. One thought the other was doing it, so, and neither looked at the return. So it wasn't it was just, yes, exactly, fell between 2 stools. We can certainly check in relation to the nil response for tomorrow evening, and John can clarify on that one.
Yeah, Chair, just in relation, and Alison's absolutely correct as to the nature of the admin error. Just in relation to tomorrow night's, I can confirm, because I have checked it out already, I can confirm that no responses were received for definite in relation to the road that you mentioned in Kinawley. Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Little.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I too was just coming in to query the nature of the error. And I know that there are 3 surveys have been returned with 0%. Is there an issue with the other 2? Would that error could have happened in relation to those 2 surveys as well? And how can we be sure that this won't happen again, I suppose, is what we're most concerned about going forward.
Chair, I assume we're talking about tomorrow night's report. Yeah, I think we'll address those at the time, but I can assure members that I have checked out all of because once bitten, you do tend to look at the numbers and make sure that they are correct. So I have checked out all of them, and they are correct for tomorrow night's report. And I suppose that is the check that is going on now in relation to, if there are 0 replies, just double check that is the case. So there are controls in place at this point.
Okay, councillor Campbell, and we're coming back to you after Seamus, Thomas.
I've got a Caherly. No, just Councillor O'Reilly mentioned, postal system may not be the best means of getting responses back in terms of dual signage. It's certainly one that should be acceptable, but I would support if Councillor O'Reilly felt it appropriate. We do look at other means, online. We can register to vote online and do a lot of stuff online. Not everyone can, but I think it is one option that we should consider because we do want to get everyone's views in a particular area. The areas get one bite at this dual signage within a period of time. It's important to see what people's views are, and we want to maximise the return. So I would support that if Councillor O'Reilly was proposing we look at electronic means as an addition. I would second that, Chair.
Okay, and we'll just let Seamus in and Alison to come back. Seamus?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I was going down the same line as that there could be kind of a hybrid system where post or an online system. The practicalities, I don't know whether there's a way around the practicalities of doing it online, but I'm sure there is. The other thing, I suppose, should we be considering widening the timeline, given that the post going out to householders could be delayed by a fortnight, especially if it's going in second class post, and then in return it could be delayed another fortnight coming back. So there's a month that it could be in the post. So maybe could we consider widening them timelines? So it's just a thought.
Thank you. Over to Alison.
Yeah, so Chair, a couple of things there in relation to Councillor O'Reilly's initial queries and then the formal proposal. My understanding, but I think we can test this properly, there may be a legal imperative regarding postal notifications and postal receipts. I note certainly the point in relation to electronic registration for voting and similar, and we can clarify if there are any other mechanisms, but I suspect that is the reason why we have had the reliance on post, but we can certainly investigate if any other legal options exist. In relation to the queries regarding the Councillor Green about lengthening the time frame, the policy itself is, I think, up for review or currently under review, and then that might be something that we could bring forward as part of those considerations. But maybe if members were so minded, we could do the two in parallel, clarify if other means of communications and expression of interest were valid, and then also in light of the significant postal delays, whether we can build in any flexibility around those timescales.
Thanks, Alison. And Councillor Feely. John.
Thank you, Chair. I might just ask for a tiny bit of leeway on this. It's just we're just talking there about postal delays and making it, having leeway or having longer times for putting the post in and out. And we're also talking about electronic registration for voting. And it just occurred to me there's going to be elections next year. And maybe it would be timely that we actually write to the election office and actually highlight just how bad the post is, that maybe they'd want to start thinking on maybe making bigger, longer timelines for postal votes as well.
Okay, do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Brown, and all in agreement? Okay. Sorry, Thomas.
It's just a thought that when Alison is checking that it's not solely for the Irish language signage, that we could take the opportunity to try and check that out for any service for the council, so that we can try to establish if there's a workable solution to some of the postal issues.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Page 6. Page 7 and page 8. So we'll now go on to the Regeneration and Community Committee on 12th of May and Councillor Errol Thompson. So we'll go through for accuracy, page 1, page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And matters arising, page 1. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I will get the hang of this.
Yeah, you're all right, Chair. Thank you. I'm happy to propose the adoption of the Regeneration Community Committee meeting minutes of the 12th of May, 2026.
Thank you. And
Chair.
can we have a seconder? Who was there? Councillor Rainey. Thank you. And now we would do matters arising. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8.
Chair, just on page 8, please, we had discussed at the Regeneration Community Committee the Northern Ireland Tourism Alliance conference, their strategy launch to be held in Belfast, and we had agreed it's the 25th of June that we would take nominations this evening. I don't have any further detail, members, on the programme. I would expect that to be confirmed imminently, but as noted at the meeting, certainly they generally do attract good speakers and those with well, both a credibility and a standing within the tourism sector.
So do we have any nominations? Councillor Brown?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I'd like to nominate Councillor Thomas Riley.
That's okay, yeah. Anybody else? Councillor Warrington?
I'll nominate Councillor Crawford and I'll confirm with him. Did he come online?
No.
I'll confirm and either way, thank you.
Okay. Is anybody else interested in attending? No, that's okay. What's that, page 8 and page 9. So that's that. And yeah, we'll go to the Policy and Resource Committee now from Wednesday, the 13th of May, and Councillor Thomas O'Reilly was the chair. So for accuracy, page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Is that a true reflection of what went on, Thomas? Oh, yeah, helps if I turn you on.
You have to let me talk then. Chair, just to formally wish yourself and Stephen the very best for your year ahead and to propose the minutes of the Policy and Resources Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And so we'll go now with, oh, sorry, I need a seconder. Councillor Warrington, thank you. So we go through for accuracy now. No, matters arising, page 1. Page 2. Councillor McAduff.
Yep, thank you. On page 2 there, the consultation on the race relations, framework for race relations. Both myself and Nolene attended a meeting in the community house in Omagh, and it was organised by Focus or maybe Forum, Tierna. It was actually organised by Tierna in his interagency travel or partnership role. And it was a very good exercise because the officials from the executive office came to the community house for a kind of an enhanced consultation with interested individuals and groups. So just to commend that exercise, you know, the idea of that and Martin McDonough from Omagh, who is kind of a leading advocate for travellers' rights, was present, you know, and people from African origin were there as well, organisations. So it was a very good meeting because the officials who were doing the consultation met local groups in person, and just to commend Tierna McMahon for the role that he played in that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Barry, and we look forward to the outcome of that then, that consultation. Councillor Hayes?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just to same as what Barry was saying, it was a really, really good event. And I think it was OMA Travellers, Inter-Traveller Agency that arranged it, but it was encouraging all local ethnic communities to respond to the consultation on race relations and about equality and everything. And as Barry said, the officers from the TEO were there, and the people that attended really, really got their points across very, very well. And they were encouraged to, to respond to it. So I think it was a really, really good event. And same as Barry, I commend the organisers and everyone for attending, because sometimes it's not easy to speak up in front of, people from the executive office. So it was an excellent event, just the same as what Barry said, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And will we get a copy of the result of that consultation? Absolutely not. Well, hopefully we will. Yeah, we will. John. Page 3, page 4, 5, and 6. Where are we now?
Are you ready to start correspondence?
So, yeah.
Page 13, they do the information about the role. Would you like to
Yeah.
disclose that?
Okay, we're going to correspondence first and some feedback from a query earlier as well to hand over to Alison.
So, Chair, just in relation to Councillor Green's query in relation to the various decisions around Mantling Road, the original decision to deem surplus was proposed by Councillor Catherine Kelly, seconded by Councillor Podrigan Kelly, and agreed unanimously. The decision to proceed to an expression of interest process was proposed by Councillor McColgan, seconded by Councillor McCloughery, and agreed unanimously. And the decision to proceed with discussions with the community organisation who submitted the expression of interest was proposed by former councillors, in this case Councillor Curry, seconded by Councillor Armstrong, and agreed unanimously.
Okay, and yep, so we'll move on to correspondence.
Thank you, Chair. So first item of correspondence, Chair, is from NISRA. This follows on from the representations around the up-to-date status of the multiple deprivation measures, and specific reference was made to Dromore, and the information of the response from NISRA is provided.
Councillor Brown.
Cormac Carley, yeah, just to propose, I'm happy to propose to note the correspondence, and it is welcome that there will be an updated multiple deprivation index, because those statistics are really, really important when it comes to, funding and things like neighbourhood renewal, are all predicated on these statistics, which, as you can see in the letter, they go back to 2017, which is coming up almost a decade now. And if you think about what's happened since then, we've had Brexit, we've had COVID, we've had cost of living crisis, we've had wars, fuel crisis. So there's no way that those statistics could be an accurate reflection of where the deprivation really is in society. So it's really, really urgent actually that we have updated figures. As I said, it is welcome that they've recognised that and they are working on it, but I don't see an awful lot of urgency in that letter. Sort of using the word hope, but can't confirm until a budget, So I hope that we can get this updated statistics and that it isn't delayed unduly. So that's all, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor McNulty.
Thank you, Chair. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think it's coming up in 10 years is ridiculous. And I think, especially with COVID and everything else that we have faced, and it's more than needed, I mean, you can't fill any form in unless that you have your NISRA stats. So I definitely think that we'd like it more clarity on that. I think it's quite vague. So yeah, thank you. And I'm happy to second that.
You want more clarity? Are you proposing to write back? Is that what you're?
Well, I would like more clarity on it. I think it is a wee bit vague, and I think it's a wee it's kind of an excuse that they're going to have to put too much work into it, and it's a job that needs to be done, and it's the department's responsibility to do that.
So you want a letter to go back to
Yeah.
more clarity? Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. And Dermot seconded it. Okay, Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thanks for again, Chair. Thanks very much. Happy with the opening of the letter. Just with regard to neighbourhood renewal, and I know it's a lot to do with neighbourhood renewal. I talk as a member of the Women Neighbourhood Renewal Partnership, as all our town councillors here are. I suppose for several years now, we've been talking about this, and the idea that we hopefully will review the neighbourhood renewal areas. Because since that's been done, there's been a lot of deprivation into other areas, especially in this town, and I'm sure it's the same as in Enniskillen town as well. So I welcome the letter, and hopefully that can be progressed in the time to come.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to make
Okay,
those
thank
comments.
you. Yep.
Chair, sorry, just if Councillor Thompson was minded, the people in place review, which is the work that was meant to be obviously underpinning a review of neighbourhood renewal, I'm not sure if that work ever was formally completed or signed off, but it may be no harm for us to write formally just to the Department of DFC to clarify the status of that, and then also whether the delay in the finalisation of NISRA stats will have an impact on that review work, which I agree is certainly very urgent being completed.
Are you happy enough?
Sorry to knock the thing out of sequence here, but thank you, Chair. Thanks, Chief Executive, for highlighting that issue. Happy to propose, as that's done, that if we do put that in writing to the relevant people and that we progress this further. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And Barry?
Yep, just to point out the practical side of this. Take an Omagh town, O'Kane Park is a neighbourhood renewal area. Culmore Park isn't. They're adjacent to each other. They're just right beside each other. Mullockmore is. Castleview isn't. Campsie is. Hospital Road isn't. So those are anomalies, you know. Those are real anomalies if you go by the lived experience and social deprivation in reality on the ground in communities. So how anybody could rule Culmore out and Hospital Road out and Castleview out, that's out of date. That's definitely out of date. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, and you happy enough to second the proposal that came from? Yep. Go ahead.
It's, if you look at Omagh town, it's south of the Omagh through pass, Great Northern Road, involving Cannondale Festival Park, right up as far as Coolnagard, is not in it. So those estates need to be considered as well. Thank you, Chair, and that's adding on to Councillor McAduff. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Thanks, Chair. The next item is from DFI Roads, but it's the Street Lighting Division. And this is specifically around Council's concerns around Gallows Hill. And in summary, the area in question is unadopted essentially, and their policy position is they will not replace lighting where the areas are unadopted. And that's essentially what's summarised, Chair.
John?
Thank you, Chair. And I wonder if you can give me a bit of leeway. I propose the noting of the letter reference Gallows Hill. We will recently notice those who's going to Enniskillen, there's work's been going on up towards the Agricultural College. There's no proposal, whilst it's going to be a greenway, there's no proposal to put streetlights on the short distance between the main road and up to the Agricultural College. The problem is that college is mainly equestrian students. There's a lot of young girls there who are doing the pre-course, which is prior to the degree, which means they're between the ages of 16 and 18. There's also students there over 18. I think it's very dangerous that area would be left in darkness, that they would be expected to make their way out of the town back to the college, as the 16 to 18-year-olds are housed on site and the older students live off campus. So I'm wondering, could we write to DFI seeing if they would consider, as part of that project, putting in an extra couple of lampposts and lighting it right the way up to the college.
Okay. And councillor Gannon?
Thank you, Chair. And in addition to that of Councillor, I'm happy to second the councillor's proposal there. But if he'd be willing to also add to his letter around providing some form of control crossing from along the main Enniskillen Road at some stage there, the main Irvinstown Road. Because I know the college is also used as an overflow car park for staff at the hospital, and I don't know about anyone else, but I've tried to cross that road at peak times. It is impossible. You have to run across, literally. You're taking your life in your hands, and let's say a student who has got a bus into the town and is coming out, they're going to be crossing from the opposite side of the road. It's very difficult to get across, and I think it's very needed, some form of crossing there as well. Otherwise, the path might as well be pointless, or will encourage people to make a risky crossing.
Okay, no problem. And there's a bus stop there as well, so it just makes sense to put something there. And councillor Thompson?
Yeah, thanks for, again, Chair, for allowing me in. I'm happy to second. I don't think Councillor Gannon seconded the notary.
Yeah, he did.
Happy to, did I?
think.
Well, okay. I support the note of it. And if my memory serves me right, we go back to an issue in Fintona some years ago, and to the back of some housing executive properties there, and it was the same thing. It comes down to anything that any of these departments are involved with. It goes back to the policy unit, who are writing the criteria for each of the policies to deal with this. So I note what Stephen Hughes is saying there, but I think until somebody writes to policy unit or whatever within DFA and other departments, that'll not change. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So we'll write those letters as suggested, proposed. So we're on to the next one now.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Next item, Chair, is from, this is for noting really, but it's from Openreach, and it's regarding the switch off and the exchange exit arrangements, and it's an industry engagement event, and it's on Wednesday the 10th of June, Chair. It's free of charge. The registration details are there, but we'd obviously like to advise Openreach in relation to any participants that may wish to engage. It's something the council has clearly raised concerns about before in terms of the switch.
So happy to note John Feely and Anne-Marie Donnelly. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, Anne.
Next item is from SOAS, Safer Acute Services. So, Chair, there's a couple of specific elements within this letter, but mostly they refer to concerns in relation to the implementation of the various RQIA recommendations, and they've set out the detail in relation to the various recommendations made by RQIA, the implementation concerns against each of those, and then the assessment, and have asked that the council, in terms of our ongoing advocacy in relation to this area, Chair, may wish to make our own representations. And you'll see that I suppose at the end of the SOAS letter, they're asking the council may wish to act to ensure the regulatory recommendations they're not accepted. And that's a copy of the letter also, that the Health Committee had been sent, and they refer to our own scrutiny role regarding it. So the asks are at the bottom of page 2 to the council in relation to the RQIA recommendations, and also the Health Committee in the Assembly and SPPG.
Thanks, Alison. Adam?
Thank you, Chair. It's a very comprehensive letter from SOAS and has a lot of detail to it. So, Chair, I would like to propose that we write to RQIA, the Assembly Health Committee and the SPPG to reflect the concerns listed out in the letter from SOAS, in particular around recommendations 3 and 4, because really, Chair, there's been enough time. How long have we been going on this? There really has been enough time to get these recommendations in place, and it's really not good enough. In particular, you know, the admission that, you know, double ED may always happen, which just isn't good enough. You know, that was one of the biggest concerns that people raised. We do need that direct admission. It was an RQIA recommendation, but the trust have said, no, we just can't do that. And that's simply not good enough. And as well as that, Chair, the issue around the NIAS capacity, that there is simply no plan in place to address this. There's nothing. And given that, as well as those 3 recommendations that SOAS have asked us to write to, or the 3 bodies SOAS has asked us to write to, I'd also like us to write to the Minister to once again reflect the concerns in the letter, but also to express our concern at the continued hands-off nature, the continued avoidance and continued lack of responsibility he's taken on this, because it's really not good enough. And RQA have made their recommendations. Trust have said some of these we can't and won't do, and whether we agree that they've met the requirements as they believe they have for some of them is open to debate, and that we think not enough is being done. And this is the point where this is not the point. He should have been intervening, should have intervened a hell of a long time ago. But we do need his intervention at this stage, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. And Dermot?
Yeah, I fully agree with everything there that Councillor Gannon has said. I think it's a really useful piece of work that SOAS have conducted here, and it really does help us conduct our role as elected representatives, and as our council, who is very, very involved in this issue, and we want to see the best health service that we can. You know, it is really concerning if recommendations by RQIA are not being implemented. You know, there was a full review, and this was the outcome, that these should have been in place. And the Western Trust have you know, a line that, you know, when I understand that there are pressures there, okay, but you know, what do they need to get these recommendations in place? And I think that's a conversation that should take place with the Minister. So I actually fully back the proposal to speak to the Minister about this as well, because he's the guy that has the purse strings. He's the guy that can make things happen. Why is it not happening? That's my query. So there's far too much fobbing off and refusal to take responsibility. The recommendations are there. They should be implemented. So let's get it done. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thanks. So we have a proposal and a seconder, and everybody's in agreement. That's great. Alison?
Thank you, Chair. Members, the next item is from DFI. It's on behalf of the Minister, just from the Director, and this is in relation to St Lucia and Omagh Town Centre, and really to offer a meeting with officials in terms of an update on the site. Coincidentally, members, I did have just a general update meeting with DFI with the relevant team on this site recently. And if members were minded, and I know this applies more directly to probably our Omagh Town councillors and Councillor Rainey, Councillor McGrath, I'd maybe suggest, Chair, that we, if you were content to receive a council officer briefing in the first instance, with a view to taking DFI colleagues later after the summer, when I think there will be a more substantive update from DFI, rather than maybe availing of their time at this stage to probably repeat the information that we're already aware of. So if members were content on that basis, I'd suggest we note their willingness, that we would engage with departmental officials to get something towards the end of the summer. And in the meantime, I would take the opportunity to brief the relevant councillors in terms of those Omagh Town and Councillor Rainey and Councillor McGrath on the current position.
Thanks, Alison. Councillor Thompson?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thanks to the Chief Executive for outlining that proposal. First of all, I'll propose to note the correspondence. And this is obviously a very important subject to deal with, St Lucia and Omagh Town Centre, because of what's coming down the track at us regarding St Lucia and also the Stroul campus, and what's going to be left in Omagh Town Centre with the vacated sites. So we have to deal with that issue. But I'm happy enough to formally propose what the Chief Executive has outlined, and that we have engagement with council officers first, with a view to further engagement with DFA officials, maybe early autumn. Happy to propose that, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And councillor McColgan?
Thank you, Chair. Second, happy to second the noting, and also happy to get a briefing from us.
Okay, thank you. And all agreed? Oh, yeah. Josephine, can you come in?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, well, I am pleased that we finally see some movement on this. So happy to support the recommendations, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Alison?
Yep. Thank you, Chair. The next item of correspondence is from NILGA, and it's regarding a ministerial engagement event on really the planning improvement programme. And our planning committee chair, so that's now Councillor Maguire, has been invited to attend a meeting with the Minister on the 18th of June at James House in Belfast. So subject here to Councillor Maguire's availability, just would be recommended that we would note that and proceed with the meeting as requested.
Councillor O'Reilly?
Chair, just a query. Myself and John are on the task and finish, and it would be, I think, useful to inquire whether we could attend that meeting.
Certainly, Chair, happy to do that. My understanding, and some councillors, I know a number of our planning committee councillors have been on the planning committee since its inception. So indeed, Councillor Maguire may recall, certainly Councillor Campbell, there used to be in the early days post RPA, sorry, no, that makes us sound very old, a ministerial forum where the minister met specifically with chairs of the planning committees. So I think this may be an intent to create that structure. However, I do think there is a desire, particularly from DFI, for those who've been involved in planning improvement, including the task and finish there last week, that they would be part of the discussion. So we can certainly ask the question, and we'll come back accordingly.
You?
Seamus?
Yeah, and forgive my ignorance on this, I'm not on the plan committee or that, but if there was suggestions or that some of us would have, would we be able to forward it on and that they be raised with the Minister, or is that the type of format that it is?
Yes, well, okay, so Chair, what I would say, my answer to that would be yes, and I think it would be helpful. There hasn't been one of these meetings for some years. However, my understanding from discussion with, I suppose, DFI officials and ILGA in particular, it's to try and get a gauge from the representatives of each of the planning committees on maybe if there are issues, obviously, but also improvement initiatives that have been undertaken by each of the councils. And we've obviously embarked on quite a programme of those. But I would imagine Councillor Maguire would be open to taking any comments or suggestions through, and we could feed back.
Tommy?
Yeah, just to say that, yeah, I'd be happy to represent the council on the 18th at that particular meeting. But just on the back of what Councillor Green has indicated, our planning meeting is on the 17th, I believe. So if this could be placed on the agenda for the planning meeting, and could I suggest any councillors with any ideas or suggestions could have them in possibly maybe even by the 14th or so to give some admin time so that it can be formulated in a report to the planning committee for discussion, and then I obviously will go forward and represent whatever issues are outstanding. Chair Grumhagen.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, Chair, and remiss of me to congratulate you and Stephen on your elevation, and to thank Barry and Shirley for their years just passed. I'd like to assure Seamus that the task and finish group was very, very heated. Yourself, Chief Executive, was there, and all the representatives from the rural councils had the same issues, and the same issues that we've always had, Seamus. But again, if there's anything new, we do need to know about them. But nobody held back, and I mean, Sean Clark from our neighbouring council was just as vociferous as myself and Thomas was, as were others. But I'd say the three of us put forward for rural people a vast and strong case.
Okay, thank you. That's good. We'll do that then.
Yep. Certainly, Chair. Thanks, Chair. We then have 2 items of other correspondence that weren't dealt with in the course of the agenda. Firstly, Chair, a response from Donegal County Council, and this is in relation to the recently adopted motion on border corridor rural roads. And I know John is bringing a report tomorrow evening as to how we're proposing to progress the event, facilitation and research for that particular motion, Chair. But proposing at this stage, it's noting obviously Donegal very happy to participate and engage on this subject.
Okay. Can we have somebody to propose to note? Councillor Little and Councillor Brown. Everyone in agreement? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And then the last item of other correspondence is from the Minister for Communities, and this is in relation to marking the 250th anniversary of the United States Declaration of Independence. The request, Chair, is that all councils consider illuminating their buildings on the 4th of July 2026 or as near to that date as possible as part of a wider Northern Ireland recognition. The preferred colours are blue, white and red. Obviously, Chair, we only have the ability to illuminate our buildings in one colour. So I suppose what we're trying to clarify is if members are willing for us to participate in the wider marking of the 200th anniversary, and then we would seek to facilitate that obviously on our estate.
Thanks, Alison. Dermot?
Gurma Carly. If I would be minded to support that proposal. I think 4th of July is a very important date for people from America and the American diaspora here. The American War of Independence was a significant event in history, and it inspired struggles all across the world for freedom and democracy and independence from empire. And so I would be happy enough to support that proposal in red. I would suggest maybe if we had to pick red. And it is good to see now that we have a DUP minister encouraging councils to celebrate gaining their independence from Britain. So it's good to see that we're joining up somewhere along the line there. Thanks.
John?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want to echo Dermot's points there, and I think it's a great way to remember our shared history here in Ireland and also with the Americans. And I also want to welcome the Minister's interest in revolutionary politics and insurrection. The American victory in the War of Independence showed that England's military and political grip was not invincible, and at the time that was a massive because they were the rulers of the world, they thought. And here in Ireland, the United Irishmen explicitly modelled their republicanism and the Republican goals on both what was happening in the United States and France at the time. And the leaders of the United Irishmen drew heavily from the writings of people like Thomas Paine, who were critical to the American Revolution. But it also has to be reminded that many of the American revolutionaries, like Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and Thomas Jefferson, were heavily influenced by Irish-born Enlightenment thinkers such as Francis Hutcheson and Francis Allison. So I think this is a great way of, remembering our shared history, remembering what revolutionary politics is all about. So thanks. I want to thank the Minister again for highlighting this to us.
Thank you. And Seamus?
And I had a wee speech wrote out, but I'll just agree with John there and what he said. So,
Yeah, Stephen, do you want to? Oh, Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Chair, and at the outset again, just extend your echo the well wishes for the year ahead. Definitely in support of the proposal. Interestingly enough, I came across a link within my own Orange Lodge recently to William McKinley, the 25th President of the United States. My own Lodge, McKinley Memorial, LOL 1539, is named after what would be his great-great-great-great-grandfather, due to his actions at the Boyne and helping William across the water. So there's a lot of history on talk tonight, so thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Donnelly?
Thank you, Chair. And likewise, I'm happy to support the proposal. I think that this is a good opportunity to reflect on a significant amount of history that has gone on and that relationship between ourselves and the United States. I mean, the story that I'm always quite fascinated of, and there's plenty that you could pick from. Not quite in our district, but the story of John Dunlap from Strabane, who had a significant role in the printing of the first US Declaration of Independence. So there's stories about that in abundance that I think it's important that our people have the opportunity to learn about. And I think in particular, it would be a good idea. I would certainly encourage anybody over the forthcoming months to maybe pay a visit if they haven't in a while to the folk park, just because they are very much central and have been central for a very long time to telling that story of the relationship between ourselves and America. So more than happy to support, Chair.
Okay, Stephen, do you want to come in now and then I'll bring you in, John?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And Councillor Donnelly just hit the point I was going to make there about the local connection, I suppose, in terms of the US independence. John Dunlap from Strabane, he emigrated in 1747 and he was commissioned to print the first 200 broadside copies of the Declaration of Independence. So there's a proud Tyrone link there as well. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, John?
Thank you, Chair. Again, welcome this initiative. If it hadn't been for an unlucky fall, one of my ancestors was set ashore at Larne, having broken his leg on a ship, but the rest of the family travelled from Longford to America, and they were all heavily involved in the American Revolution. Some of them made some quite historical remarks. One of them being the first to release us as slaves after having spent a while in a prisoner of war camp.
Yeah, okay. Very interesting conversation. We can't forget that there was horrific slavery in that part of the world, and also the indigenous people as well that was there a long time before that. But anyway, that's it. Alison?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, just before we leave correspondence, if I just may, members are aware of this, but just to advise that I've received a valid call-in of a planning committee decision, which was taken at the planning committee meeting held on Wednesday, the 20th of May, 2026. The reason, just Chair, for me raising it at this juncture is because this decision was taken at a committee. The arrangements for dealing with the call-in are slightly different, and they are dealt with in section 21.3 of standing orders. So because we have an admissible call-in of a committee decision, the council is required to appoint an ad hoc committee of the council, the membership of which will be the chairpersons of all committees of the council. So in our case, that will be the chairs of Environmental Services, Planning, Policy and Resources, and the Regeneration and Communities Committees. The chairperson of the committee which was responsible for the decision, that's namely the Planning Committee, shall be able to attend the committee but shall not have voting rights at the meeting. And the members who submitted the call-in or a member on their behalf shall be invited to the ad hoc meeting at which the subject to the call-in is considered and may, upon the request of the chairperson, address the meeting, but shall not have voting rights. And just to confirm then, Chair, because the decision was taken under delegated authority and did not require council notification, the only courses of action available to the ad hoc committee are to support the decision or to refer the decision back to the decision maker, which is the planning committee. So it's really just, Chair, that members are formally apprised now of that. We will proceed as required under standing orders to convene a meeting of the ad hoc committee, and we will notify the chairs and the submitters of the call-in due course of that. But otherwise, just to take a proposer and seconder to note those arrangements, and we'll obviously provide a further update when the ad hoc committee concludes.
Thank you, Chair. To you, just as a member of the Plan Committee, do I have to declare an interest as one of the decision makers technically? No.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
And Councillor Deehan is online, Chair.
Josephine, do you want to come in there?
Yes, thank you, Alison, for your update. And I would like to propose that course of action, the formation of an ad hoc committee and the notification of all concerned in due course. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so we have a proposer, Councillor Little to second. Everyone in agreement? Yep. for that.
Yeah, that's item 14.
So we're item 14 now, and pass over to you again, Alison.
No, that's okay. Chair, thank you. Just the delegation, request for delegation of council powers to firstly to the Regeneration and Community Committee. The request, Chair, relates specifically to 2 consultations, the deadlines of which are before the next council meeting. So as such, requesting that council powers would be devolved. And similarly for the Policy and Resources Committee, the requirements for both the annual governance statement and the draft financial position are required before the next council meeting. So that's the reason for seeking council powers. So maybe, Chair, if members reminded, we just take 2 separate proposers, one for Regeneration and Community and one for Policy and Resources.
Okay. Can I have a proposer, Councillor McColgan, and seconder? You're not waving hands, Councillor Kelly. That's for any objections, that's Regen and Community, and for the PNR, Councillor O'Reilly and Councillor Donnelly. Thank you. So we can go to the motions now. So the first motion is Inland Stillwater Lakes, and that is being proposed by Councillor Gannon and seconded by Councillor Ruth today, which is slightly different on the paper, but Bernard's not able to be here tonight. So you've got 5 minutes, Adam, and Eddie's got 3. So there you go.
Thank you, Chair, and like other councillors in the room, I was recently contacted by the Erin Anglers regarding the state of fishing stands at Lochs of Crossall, Inver and Lyons, Crossall and Enniskillen, Inver and Lyons and Rosslea. And the stands currently in an unsafe state of repair. And the maintenance for them originally came across from the Erin Melvin Enhancement Company in 2005 to the old Fermanagh District Council. But in 2017, when the EMEC dissolved, the arrangements were never renewed, and that has left the stands in a kind of a state of limbo. And over the years, the council has continued to inspect the stands and do some maintenance on them, which is very good, but they're now obviously in an unsafe condition. And look, I'm not an angler myself. I could probably count on my one hand the amount of times I've properly been fishing in my life, despite the efforts of some of my friends to try and get me out a bit more. But what I do definitely know is how much fishing and angling adds to local recreation and to tourism. One of my first jobs was working in a hotel when I was 17 as a cleaner, and that summer when I started there, I was genuinely shocked by the sheer amount of tourists, in particular from Germany and Switzerland, and mainly coming across just for the fishing here in this county and the hotel stays. And then when I went on later to work in a shop in Tesco there, you continue to see it for years coming in. Spending money in the local economy, not just in the shops, but going out to restaurants as well as supporting the hotels. So it really, really does add, and obviously we get tourism locally and visitors locally, day trips and visitors from across Ireland as well. And it is a huge boost to our local economy. And the 3 lochs at Crossall, Inver and Lyons, and why they are so important is because they are considered premier course fishing lochs, which are well stocked with highly desirable fish to catch, large fish, the type of things that people love to get and have the status of and get the photos with. And Erin Anglers obviously put in have been engaging with the council over the years, and it's good to have that engagement. But what they did a number of years ago is they put in like a counter for the number of the footfall at Crossall, and they found thousands of people visited that site alone in a year. Thousands of people in a year, which just shows you the demand for these sites, because there was a lot of stands there. But not just at Crossall. Inver and Lyons have been basically essentially completely closed because of the unsafe condition. and that has an impact on the Rosslea Lakes Festival. Again, as I've mentioned, the economic impact and the visitors this brings in, and the money and the stays for a small rural village like Rosslea, having that influx of visitors for a day or two and a couple of days and a weekend, and being in the local area and spending their money there and being in the area is a huge benefit. But they've had to change where those events are located and renamed it the Rosslea Earn Festival. So they did, because they still wanted to keep Rosslea in it and they still wanted to promote Rosslea, but they couldn't host it in Rosslea, which is just a loss to an area such as that. And from discussions I've had, the Angling Club is keen to, they have been engaging with the council, they're keen to continue to engage with the council, and that landowners generally seem to be keen to get this issue resolved and see these stands being used. They've always been good in the past. Again, that's from discussions I've had. And look, this won't be an immediate fix. This is simply to get a plan in place, to see what governance can be in place, because there's nothing in place now. Funding, it won't be cheap, because this is probably replacement territory that we're talking about. So there has to be consideration for trying to find funding in future for this, but there may be opportunities through external funding here. And look, it's a step and it's the first step, but it will hopefully get these stands safe and open again at some stage and bring that bit of tourism back in, Chair.
Lovely, thank you. And that was just in time. You had 10 seconds left, you know. Eddie.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Councillor Gannon for allowing me to second this proposal at short notice. Fermanagh has long been known as a world-class fishing destination, with the World Championships in the Predator class being held in Lough Erne as recently as 2024. Before Fermanagh became the tourism leader that it is now, fishing tourism was a huge chunk of what kept many hospitality businesses afloat for generations. A large part of the draw to international fishers was not only Lough Erne, but the well-stocked Stillwater lakes that allowed them to fish further throughout the year. Indeed, growing up in a family with a keen interest in fishing, I spent many a summer's day on the shorelines of these lakes with my uncle, particularly in Inverloch, Crossall Loch, and even Racecourse Loch at the odd time as well. And I look fondly back on those memories. Not many fish were caught, but the blame lies squarely with me on that front, not the level of stock in the lakes. The dilapidation of the remaining fishing stands on these Stillwater lakes has a substantial impact on the fishing industry in Fermanagh, both for tourists and for locals. Upgrading these stands would be a vital improvement that would go a long way to support a sector which historically Fermanagh and Omagh has relied upon. So as a result, I'll be seconding and supporting this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll bring in Glenn.
Harley, I want to fully support, I suppose, the motion. I do fully appreciate the economic benefit which has been cited. I'm aware of this from local events well over the years in West Tyrone, and I suppose it brings a lot of visitors, as has been rightly said. It also is a great outlet for people, young and old, to engage in angling. And we know how passionate those people are. And I can't speak from experience. I've never really been involved or touched a fishing rod, I would say safely. But having said that, as a parent, I know that there's a great interest amongst many young people. And I didn't think I would touch a golfing club until my boy visited a friend who was playing golf, and I was at the golf then the next week. So this is how these things grow, and it's really important that we support these outlets for people fishing and people that are so passionate. And I have been lobbied, as has Councillor McNulty, about access to local lochs. Loch Braddon and Loch Lee, I believe, are locked, so they're gated up, and people with permits and license to fish there, they're rightly asking, do we get a key here because we have a license and we can't get access? So that's maybe a separate proposal that I would make, that we do follow up on those issues about access to lochs, Loch Braddon and Loch Lee being two examples, but fully support the motion, and I'll leave it at that, Chair.
Glenn, if you can bring that proposal under any other business and we'll keep it separate. Is that okay from the motion? Thank you. John?
Thank you, Chair, and I'd like to thank Councillor Gannon for bringing forward this motion. It's quite timely. Back in my younger days, I can remember clearly when the council had signposted many locks around Fermanagh. There was it wasn't the same infrastructure as at these three locks, but there was slips and boats. If you brought your own oar locks, you could borrow a boat and take it out and fish off it. In my own area, I'm less than a mile from four locks: Loch Brisk, Park Hill Lock, the Black Lock, and the White Lock, which all were signposted. There was a sign that had green writing on it and just pointed to the lock and a picture of a fish on it. Many of us older councillors will remember those were scattered around the whole of the district, and it's a shame to see them gone. Even if there is no infrastructure, people still enjoyed fishing them, and it was the lure of catching that one big one out of those lakes in particular. There was always stories that there was a big fish there, and it was there to be caught. And as a young man, that was a challenge. I think maybe it was madness, a 10-year-old heading off on a bicycle with a packed lunch and a fishing rod, no life jacket, going out in a rowing boat. Maybe it would be a bit of madness nowadays, but that's the way it was. I know health and safety and insurance comes into it a lot now, and if we do provide facilities, they must be to the highest standard. So that must be borne in mind, but fully behind the motion.
Lovely, thank you. Anthony? Hold on.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, and I also want to thank Adam for bringing this motion to the council. And as Glenn said, the Sinn Féin group is fully behind the motion. And I, for one, just knows too well the impact that the fishing industry has on the tourism around my own area, as well as there's a load of small lakes around there, up around Loch Navarre, out to the forest there, still water lakes. Then it brings in a serious amount of fishermen, tourists, and just local guys fishing too. And thank Adam for bringing it. I didn't realise that the problems up in Rosslea. So any help that the council can do to that will be great. For the first year I was elected, I was on that committee, the EMEC committee, the Aaron Melvin committee, and it's just a pity the way it worked out. But it was a good committee, and I just wanted to mention that as well. So just I'd like to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor David Mahon?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the members for bringing forward the motion this evening. And we can all agree that it is a very good motion and that we agree with everything that's been said so far, indeed by the proposers and other members. Improving facilities and looking for potential funding sources is very important and has to be welcomed. Tourism is widely regarded as an essential part of the council's offering, and any opportunity to improve that must be considered and welcomed. So not labour much more on it. A lot of good things have been said. I don't fish, I never have myself. But I know it's very important to a lot of people. So thank again the members for bringing it forward, and we will be supporting the motion.
Thank you. So everybody seems to be in agreement. Adam, you've got a couple of minutes there to sum up.
I'll not take the couple of minutes, but just to emphasise the recreational use that some of the councillors themselves brought up from their own experience. And just when Anthony was speaking, it made me think of Garrison being up there and seeing the young lads in the river fishing on a good day at the weekend. Like that's a big part of it as well. It's not just all about tourism too, whilst that is a significant draw of these. There's the recreational element for people here and providing activity when there quite often isn't activities for people. And just to also thank Councillor Roof for coming in at short notice when Councillor McGrath couldn't be in here this evening to second that. So thank you to the councillor there.
Thanks, Adam. Sorry, I shouldn't be speaking when you are a bit rude. So there's no dissent on that. So we're all in agreement with that motion. Yep, thank you. And we will go on to the second motion, promoting cross-border opportunities for students, and that's proposed by Councillor Brown and seconded by Councillor Anthony Feely. Dermot, you've got 5 minutes and Anthony's got 3. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Romeo Carley. The idea for this motion came from a recent BBC article which I came across, and it was really quite shocking. It it showed that last year only 213 A-level students here from the north went on to study a degree in the south. And the year before that, there was only 190 students that went on to study in the south. So those figures are really surprisingly low, I would have thought. If we look, and it's hard to understand as well, if we look at the system they have in the south, university fees are much lower for a start. Students in the south pay only 2.5 grand per year, whereas students up here pay upwards of nearly 5 grand. If you're going to England, it's up to 9 grand, you know, so fees are generally lower. On top of that, students in the south, they're eligible for a student grant. Most students are, which, and as it clues in the name, it's a grant that doesn't need to be paid back, which is a preferable system to the loan system that students here and in England have to get. Obviously, if you're paying back a loan over many years, you know, that can really saddle people with debt. You know, it's not a good system really. But I do accept that, you know, part of the reason for this is that the cost of living in the south is much higher, and the cost of accommodation as well is significantly higher. But I don't think those reasons in themselves alone are the answer or give us a clue as to why there's so many or so few people going to the south. The reason why I brought this motion is because I'm passionate about this, because I myself went to university in the south. I went to Galway, NUIG, and it was really one of the best decisions that I ever made. And I didn't have to pay extortionate fees that some of my school friends had to pay. And I was able to get the bus home every weekend with a suitcase full of washing. But anyway, so it certainly seemed to me at the time that there were far more students going to the south at that time than there is now. So something has happened, something has gone wrong. From what I'm hearing, people, it's a lot to do with the complicated admission system and the fact that the A levels aren't recognised to the same extent that the Leaving Cert is. And this is not about saying that students shouldn't stay here in the north or they shouldn't go to England. It's just about saying that students who want to go to the south have the equal opportunity to go wherever they want to go, I suppose. Yeah, so there's also an issue around the timing of exam results being released. In the north, the results are released a full 2 weeks before the south are released. And then subsequently, university places are offered much earlier as well. And that has an impact because if a student here in the north receives an offer from a university here or in England, but then they have to wait for 2 weeks to know if they're going to get an offer from a southern university, you know, that'll be a very stressful wait for them, and they'll see their friends getting accepted to their places and getting their accommodation sorted before them, and then they'll be at the back of the queue if they do end up, you know, having to come here. So so a lot of people just get rid of that wait and just go with what they know is available at that time. So the motion before the council tonight here is essentially calling for this issue to be looked at on a cross-border basis and for practical solutions to be brought forward. We also want to make sure that students here in the north are fully aware of the opportunities which await them if they do find themselves going across the border. In my case, I already had a desire to go into the south, so my mind was made up. But I think a lot of the students in the careers classes in schools, I don't think they're automatically given the information to the same extent. I think the default position is, you know, the process is much easier and streamlined if you go here or England. And I think a lot of people don't understand the benefits potentially for going to the south. So I'll leave my remarks there, Chair, and I would like to think that every party will support the motion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And you beat Adam by 5 seconds. Anthony? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, and I just really want to echo what Dermot has said there. I have 2 children going to university at the minute, so they kind of know the options was out there and know about the bags of washing coming home as well. But I've spoken to many other young people as well who would have loved to had the opportunity to study across the border, but they found the admission process far too complicated and restrictive. In my area along the border in Garrison, many A-level students wanted to stay in places like, or study in places like Sligo or Galway, where they could have, where their friends were attending and where they could have got the bus home on weekends. These institutions are highly rated and the quality of life is really good. And there's nothing wrong if students want to stay in their home country to study. In fact, we should be encouraging it, as Dermot says. The very low numbers going south is very concerning and something should be done. We need the education ministers on both sides of the border to sit down together and come up with practical solutions. This is about ensuring there is equality of access and creating a level playing field. So I'm happy to second the motion and I look forward to the debate. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Rosemary?
Madam Chair, thank you very much to the members for bringing forward this motion this evening. There are two principal ways in which students in Northern Ireland can engage with and benefit from educational cooperation with the Republic of Ireland. The first is through the joint research initiatives, and the second is through student mobility, whereby universities in Northern Ireland and the Republic exchange programmes or enable students to undertake all or part of their studies in the neighbouring jurisdiction. Cross-border academic cooperation has already delivered significant benefits. We have an organisation such as the Universities of Ireland and the All-Ireland University Partnership, and these recognise the value of students. They have researchers, cross-border researchers, and the cross-border institutes are working together to address various common challenges and seize new opportunities. And these also support projects in areas such as healthcare, science, technology and engineering, while also encouraging development of joint degrees and credit transfer arrangements and greater alignment between the educational systems. However, this cooperation in research, while it's been a notable success, there's also another way of promoting cross-border student work also, and that's through the student mobility. And student mobility remains considerably much more limited. In 225, 213 students from Northern Ireland commenced university courses in the Republic of Ireland. By contrast, thousands chose to continue their education in Great Britain, and this suggests that there are significant barriers. One challenge is a lack of awareness. Many students have only a limited understanding of educational opportunities and are with the neighbouring jurisdiction, and many are not familiar with both the UCAS and CAO admissions. So there we have an example of trying to get students educated. We have difference in admissions criteria, and these cause obstacles. For example, there's a different point system with the A levels and the Leaving Cert. And many students in Northern Ireland have to have 4 A levels to gain entry into the Republic of Ireland universities, whereas many students only sit 3 A levels here. The application timelines also differ, and we've heard about that. And there's financial considerations too also play a role. Tuition fees again are lower in the Republic than those charged in the UK. However, there's a problem with the housing shortage in the Republic getting houses. Madam Chair, the Ulster Unionist Party believes that greater student mobility between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland should be encouraged, and particularly where specialist courses, academic expertise or professional opportunities are not available within a student's home jurisdiction. Cross-border cooperation should expand about opportunities and strengthen academic excellence and ensure that students can access the courses and experiences best suited to their ambitions. For this reason, the Ulster Unionist Party is pleased to support this motion.
That's lovely. Thank you, Rosemary. And Aaron?
Thank you, Chair. On tonight's motion, we want to see a system that is fair for all students and for students from here to have the choices not only open to them, but achievable through appropriate recognition of their A-level achievements. Speaking from relatively recent experience, making decisions to apply to a higher education course can be a stressful time for many young people. With it comes much uncertainty, and therefore, if more clarity can be provided for students when making those choices and what options are available to them, that should be encouraged. Only a minority of applicants from Northern Ireland or the rest of the UK make it all the way through to being offered and accepting a place in Irish higher education universities. There are two main reasons for this. One is the timing of results, as spoke by other members tonight, by the examination boards, as SIA and AQA report their examination results far earlier than their counterparts in the Republic of Ireland. The second is the recognition of A-levels and the points tariff system. In Northern Ireland, there are very few students who continue to take 4 A-level subjects. Therefore, the point system, when applying to an institution in the Republic of Ireland, can cause difficulty for many in trying to meet the criteria. It also must be said that one of the biggest challenges for students in Northern Ireland is the artificial maximum student number cap. It means that students from here have to compete with each other, their counterparts from mainland Great Britain and their counterparts in the Republic of Ireland to get a place at university. The Vice-Chancellor of Queen's University Belfast, Professor Sir Ian Greer, said last year that they can only offer approximately 3,500 places to students from here each year, despite an average of around 28,000 applications. So when we talk about barriers to students here, there are plenty of issues that need to be addressed. We want students from Northern Ireland to have access to the best course and best provider, and wherever they decide to go, they should have those opportunities, and there should not be barriers in place to prevent that, whether that be for universities in Northern Ireland or elsewhere, and we support this motion. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you very much. Councillor Donnelly, Stephen?
Thank you very much, Chair, and can I thank the members for bringing forward this extraordinarily timely motion. Alliance believes in realising the full potential of building a shared and united community, and fundamental to that is ensuring that young people can equally and fairly access all opportunities available on these islands, and that is true especially for education. Now, when I was looking at this issue coming up to this debate, I came across a statistic that seemed extraordinary to me, and other members have touched on this. And it is apparently the case that in 1998, 10% of students at Trinity College Dublin would have been from Northern Ireland, but in recent years, that figure has been closer to 1%. Now, it's about 13 or 14 years since I was applying for universities, but when I reflect on my own experience, I can possibly understand at least some of how this deterioration has occurred. At one point, I would have had some quite grand, lofty, and perhaps unrealistic notions about becoming a writer one day. So whenever I was at school, I was looking through English and creative writing courses. And I remember taking a look at Trinity and being graded by equivalent grade requirements that up north probably would have been more associated with dentistry or medicine applications. Now, I did quite well in my exams, although possibly not as well as Councillor Brown, given that he managed to make it to Galway. But I did well enough, and I ended up being quite happy at Queen's. But I was curious in advance of this debate, and I checked how I would do if I applied for English at Trinity today, and I can confirm that I would have missed out by 10 points. So I've now had my hopes and dreams dashed twice. But there is a serious point here, which is that if young people with strong results are struggling to break into humanities subjects down south with lower entry requirements than some other subjects, the accessibility for Northern students for subjects such as pharmacy and medicine and even law is practically non-existent. And that is all before we even get to the serious logistical challenges outlined in the motion that comes with the lack of harmonisation between the CAO system in the south and the UCAS system up north. And I think that it is eminently sensible that we do engage around this about how we can be better coordinated and how opportunities to study can be better promoted so that young people are well aware of the full range of opportunities that are available to them. And I will say that on a personal note, in the last number of years, I have had the opportunity through travelling to visit Trinity, University College Cork and University of Galway. And while we can take pride in what Queen's and Ulster University have to offer, I can understand from seeing these institutions down south how young people could have a fantastic time there. And I think our young people should at the very least have that as a realistic option whenever they are pursuing their own choices. So, Chair, on behalf of the Alliance Party, I'm more than happy to support the motion.
Thank you. Stephen and Adam?
Thank you, Chair, and I too would like to support the motion. There's been a lot of excellent points raised in the discussion tonight, and just to emphasise that stressful period when results are coming in and people are waiting for UCAS places and university places, and then maybe going into a clearing system all before CAO offers can even come out. And if you get something, you might just go for it. You know, you have that offer in hand, you'll take it, unless, as like Councillor Brown, you know what you want to do. And as well as that difference between the two qualifications, North and South, has been mentioned. And quite often, I don't think A-levels get the credit that they deserve in the Southern system, because the level of depth. I know students who I went to school with who went down South and basically said, well, a lot of their modules in first year, they were able to coast through it and do nothing because they'd already covered it to much more detail than their Southern counterparts. So that's something that does need to be recognised in the point system, is the greater depth that A-levels quite often go into. And for example, I know teachers in the South in my own subject in science who choose to teach in the North because they get to go into greater detail in their subject and they're passionate about it. But as I've said, students can't wait for their offers. They might then end up going to England, Scotland, Wales, and they may well very much have a brilliant experience there. But that brilliant experience might lead them to stay in there. Whereas if they stay in Ireland, they have that connection to home, whether that's to bring the washing up, as been said, or to raid the fridge and freezer to bring it back down the road, as we all may have done if you went to university close to home. And it is an artificial barrier to entry, this differences that have been mentioned, that has been created and put up. It's not a real thing. It can be surpassed here, and it can be overcome. And I think increasing the knowledge of all options is really important. I think that the fact that it mentions writing to the Minister about that, and Councillor Brown mentioned careers, is so important. I know I was very lucky to have very good careers guidance where I was fully aware of it. But I know in many schools that the resource just isn't provided from the department. There isn't the money provided from the department in budgets for it. I believe for most schools, it might be one staff member for half-hour a week. That's all that the guidance allows them to be funded for and to use, which is staggering if you think of the school and how much that is. And that's all the careers guidance in the school that they are responsible for, which is quite staggering. And how can they then know absolutely everything and advise everyone on all the options available, Chair? So I think the resource needs to be put in as well, because that allows young people to have the maximum opportunity, and that's what they should have. The best advice, the clearest guidelines, and the timings to work out as well, so they're not as stressed and they have their options open to them, Chair. Thank you.
That's lovely, thank you. And Josephine, do you want to?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, I too would like to commend Councillors Brown and Feely for bringing forward this motion. It's been a really, really interesting and informative debate. And I think that we need to bear in mind that when students are applying for college and university, their primary objective would be to get into the course of their choice. But remember also that going to university is about more than just obtaining an academic qualification. It is about the whole social development, the whole cultural development. And I think it is such a shame that students in Northern Ireland don't have a level playing field when it comes to trying to gain access to third level institutions in the Republic of Ireland. We're very fortunate in Northern Ireland that we have institutions of the highest standard of international repute, but unfortunately there simply aren't the places in Northern Ireland to accommodate the number of students who wish to study at home. And yes, as Councillor Brown has said, fees in the Republic of Ireland are generally lower, particularly when you compare to university fees in Great Britain. And these are factors that students are increasingly focusing on, because when they graduate, many of them will be saddled with huge levels of student debt. And many of them are avoiding third level education for fear of taking on that debt. And the statistics are startling when it comes to looking at, as Councillor Donnelly has said, the statistics for Trinity College Dublin. where Northern Ireland applicants have fallen off dramatically. And speaking as a Trinity College alumnus, I can say that when I studied medicine in Trinity College, there were many, many of my fellow students from Northern Ireland. We have discussed in this chamber before why so many of our most able students have failed to gain places in Queen's University, for example, because simply there aren't enough places. So why can't those able students not avail of places in medicine and in other competitive courses in the Republic of Ireland? It's really, really important that this matter is addressed, because speaking personally, to have studied, I studied in Belfast and Dublin, but to have the
3
experience,
seconds left, Josephine.
thank you, is a wonderful experience to go and experience and just have that cultural experience. It's really life-changing. So happy to support the motion, Chair. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. So Dermot, back to you now for a couple of minutes to sum up, please. Oh.
Good to Carly. No, just happy to have agreement. There's been a lot of agreement tonight. Actually, it's quite refreshing. Hopefully, that'll be of your term. Now we'll see more of that agreement.
Good.
But no, I don't want to say anything else. Just to say thanks everyone for the debate and for supporting the motion. Thank you.
So we're just going to put it to the floor that everybody's in agreement of the motion. Yep. Okay. Thank you. We're now going to go on to item 16, any urgent and relevant business, and 3 people contacted me, Thomas, Nolene and Paul. So we'll take Thomas, your issue first. Hold on a minute, Rory, you're buzzing. So Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. 2 issues, Chair. The first one is Claddagh Glen and the slippage that has occurred on the walkway there. And this happened a year ago, and then subsequently some more slippage happened. And this hasn't been cleared by the department who have the responsibility for it. It is one of our key tourism sites, the Marble Arch Caves and the walk to it. People are walking up from the Belcoo Road and they are meeting this blockage. The signage isn't good there, Chair. So I'm asking that we would write to the department and put a little bit of pressure on there. If this was happening around the Goblins pathway on the north coast, it would have been cleared and worked on a lot quicker. And I think that the local businesses, we talked about tourism businesses earlier this evening, and our businesses here, including our caves, deserve the same level of attention by the department as anywhere else. So that's the first item, Chair.
Yep. And so that you're proposing that we write to them, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Anthony?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I'll second that proposal.
Okay. Yeah. And Rory, I'll come back to you in a minute. I'm just going to bring Thomas back in because he has another item, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second item, Chair, is to look at the townscapes that we're faced with in our towns and villages with a lot of vacant property sitting. And what I'm asking is that we would write to LPS looking to see what percentage of vacant rates are actually being paid on those properties that are blighting our towns for many years, sitting vacant, contributing to the neglect of the view of our towns and villages, including also, of course, leading to activity that is less than desirable for any town or village when people can gain access to these buildings, and just a pure look of them, Chair. So I appreciate that we haven't got the legislation to be able to enforce some movement on repairing or putting into use again these buildings. But at least that we should be able to try and put a little bit of pressure on that the rates have been picked, the bacon rates have been picked up on these buildings, and that some pressure is being put on people to play their part in the civic responsibility of looking after our townscapes.
Yeah, no, that's 100%, Thomas. Rory, I'll bring you in now.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to bring attention to the fact that we still haven't received.
Oh, can I come back to that then? Because I'm looking for a second. I thought he was going to come in second.
Well, I'm happy to second. Yeah.
You're happy to second. I'll put you on my list.
Okay.
Nolene?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And just as Council's Diversity Ambassador, I'll just wish everybody Happy Pride Month. Judy.
Oh, hold on a minute. I'm doing my little list here. Can I bring you in after? Right, okay. Oh, so, right, okay, sorry, it has been seconded, so that's all right. So I'm with you.
So I'll carry on.
I'll carry
Okay.
on, yeah.
Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Yeah.
June is Pride
Sorry.
Month. And the reason I asked for this, Chair, is just to request that the council buildings will be illuminated for Pride, which is 13th of June, for Manor Pride, which is 18th of July. That may be the case already, but just in case. And also there is a day on the 16th of June, which is Neurodivergent Pride. And just to highlight that on that day, the Culca Lakelands UNESCO Global Geopark are holding a launch event at Castle Island and Enniskillen, promoting a Know Before You Go guides across over 100 of their sites, which will basically be setting out details for anyone with a physical or neurological access need for them sites, so they know what to expect when they get there and how to access the activities. So I would encourage everyone to come along to there if you can. That was it, Chair. Thank you very much.
That's lovely. And can we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Donnelly. All agreed? Yep. Paul? No. Oh.
Disagreement.
Okay.
You jinxed it, Dermot, by saying an agreement.
Is the dissent on the illuminations for Pride only? Yeah. Okay. And we'll note that. Just to vote? Yeah. And Victor was
Same.
the same? So is it just the DUP and UUP that are descending on the illumination on the various Pride days? Yeah? No? Okay, we'll go for a vote then.
Go as a party block.
Sorry?
We don't go as a party block.
No, that's okay. We go
So-
go for a vote.
Do we
Yep.
need a, do we need a vote?
Okay.
That's what a vote is. You've tried twice to get the clarity. So
Yeah, that's why I asked if both parties were descending, and I was told no. So that's why we went for the vote. A recorded vote. Is that what we're doing?
Yes, that's what
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Right, everybody vote. On, what are we voting on?
the illuminations.
The illuminations, so we're voting for Omagh and Enniskillen Pride, Nolene's proposal, so we're voting whether you support Nolene's proposal or not.
Just take a minute. It's okay. So, come up now, and so, that's 17, I think. Or 17.
Oh, yeah.
Which is it on, you know? There.
Oh, yeah.
17,406 and 1, 17.
Oh, wow.
This one is 3-4.
Okay, so it's the 24.
24. 24.
So we have, with those who have voted, we have 20 in favour, 6 against and 1 abstention. So the proposal is carried. Thank you, Nolene. So now we come to Councillor Paul Robinson for your issue.
Thank you, Chair. It's to do with roads as usual. The main street in Brookborough is a total disgrace. The amount of potholes and stuff that's up the centre of that street is unreal. And the amount of people that's complained to me about it over the last month and that is serious. But the state of the street in Brookborough, could we write to the EFA to see can we get that street tarred or something done with it?
Okay, thank you. And we'll go over to Seamus.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarity, that maybe Paul doesn't know, but I have been on to road service and they have confirmed that that street will be fixed in the next number of weeks.
Okay.
Councillor Warrington indicated, I'd say that's the second.
Councillor Warrington.
Yeah, just to say it's something that I've been on as well. Lots of complaints about the main street in Brookborough, but the EFA's the EFA.
Are you seconding Paul's?
I'll second it, yeah.
Or the fact that Seamus has it solved? Anyway.
So you have Councillor Campbell now about the matters mentioned during the motion about, do you remember the other?
Yes, yeah,
So
yeah.
next, Rory hasn't approached you, hasn't he?
No, but I think he's doing it in response to.
But that's okay, but if you want to take Glenn first, because
Yeah.
he's raised it and then.
Yeah, so are you still coming in on your issue there? Yeah, so I'll take Glenn first, then I'll come back to you, okay? So,
Just the clarification of the access to the locks that Glenn had mentioned during the motion.
yep, Glenn?
Sorry, we're
What's
gonna
the
carry.
access to the locks that you
Yeah, it
mentioned
was
earlier?
specifically Loch Braden and Loch Lee near Drumquin, you know, and maybe there's others, but certainly, you know, there's license holders, people with permits can't access those locks. And, you know, are they to get a key or is this going to be opened up to people that are entitled to fish in those locks? So
Just want us to write and find out.
write and find out, yeah, whoever we can try and get an answer from that, in relation to that. Dara,
Okay.
perhaps, yeah.
And John, are you?
Yeah, I recently was on a environmental course, and Loch Braden is controlled by Northern Ireland Water. Loch Lee, I believe, is the same, but I'm not 100% sure with it. But definitely Loch Braden, it's Northern Ireland Water. They control all the grounds around it.
So we're writing to NI Water.
Just get a seconder.
Are you seconding? Yep. And all agreed? Yep. So Rory,
We're okay till 5 past.
Rory, we're all right till 5 past. We're all right. We're doing all right.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to bring the attention of members as well that we still haven't received a response from the FAA, and that's going on 3 months now. And it is worth noting that one of 2 ministers with responsibility for sport in the South, Minister Patrick O'Donovan, called for fans to boycott the game between Ireland and the apartheid state. The Irish captain, Seamus Coleman, says he knows the difference between right and wrong, and the Irish people have made their voices very clear. Former players, including James McLean, have said the game should not be played. Richie Sadler spoke on RTE last week and said Israel are carrying out some of the worst crimes imaginable in front of the world. Again, a former player. Former Irish managers, including Roddy Collins and Ireland manager Brian Kerr, have both said the game should not be played, with the bigger point being made that some things are bigger than sport. We should not be welcoming the team representing the apartheid state, and we should not be sports washing for genocidal lunatics in the Israeli cabinet. Again, some things are bigger than sport. The apartheid state is now burning and blowing up schools and hospitals in southern Lebanon. They are now murdering women and children in their thousands across Lebanon, while still carrying out a genocide in Gaza and illegally occupying and displacing indigenous peoples in the West Bank. Those who feign concern about hypothetical suspensions from third-tier international competitions offer little in the way of a sensible conversation and are using the thinnest of veils to mask their contempt for the humanity of Palestinian and Lebanese civilians. Whilst these heinous crimes are being committed against the innocent, Israeli football teams should not be welcome in this country. Israeli sporting bodies should not be welcome in this country. Our message to the FAA was clear. We need to see their response. We need to hear their justifications for being complicit in sports washing for the apartheid state. So again, I suggest we chase the FAA for a response to our questions and to our statements. This council cannot be ignored by the largest body responsible for organising sport and football on this island. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Rory. And do you have a seconder? Oh, you don't need to.
Because we've already the action from before.
Oh, right. Okay. So we've got the action already from before. So we just follow that up then. Yeah. Okay.
Proposer and seconder now for the extension of the meeting.
So can I take a proposer and a seconder for the extension of the meeting to go Anne-Marie Donnelly and Anthony Feely? Thank you.
Chair, if you're happy to take on the ICO matter.
Yep. Jill, you have a update now, please.
Chair, thank you. Yes, I just want to bring members a short update in relation to an information governance matter in terms of relating to records retention that is coming to play. So further updates that we have provided to members at previous Policy and Resources Committee meetings in November and January in relation to an ICO investigation into an FOI that we had, a series of FOIs that we had on requests for licensing for dog breeding establishments. And an outcome of that is that the ICO has now issued a practice recommendation today to the council. So what that is, a practice recommendation is issued to public authorities to improve their compliance with the Freedom of Information Act and the Records Management Code. And really, we must consider this very seriously. It's a formal intervention to the council by the ICO. So just really to recap, in October 24, so quite a period of time ago, an FOI request came into the council in relation to dog breeding licensing. We had a number of previous requests in relation to that. And at that stage, the council was awaiting a tribunal outcome in relation to a previous similar request. The tribunal required that we, for disclosure of the information, but in the interim period, a very small number of hard copy records had been mistakenly destroyed. So the ICO decision in relation to that was that the council was in breach of FOI legislation, and that was previously reported to members. However, we did welcome the Commissioner's conclusion that he was satisfied that the council's explanations as to why the records had been destroyed was satisfactory. So the practice recommendation now issued relates to overall record management practices within the council and specifically within two areas. Firstly, that our existing records management policy and retention and disposal schedule has not been sufficiently renewed or reviewed or updated during the period since 2015. And we're currently working with PRONI, we've been working with PRONI for the past 4 years to update that schedule and the specifics around that. And secondly, the practice recommendation highlights operational issues about the destruction of records, how we do that, in that records have not been routinely and regularly destroyed in line with the destruction schedule, so that we've held on to them for longer in some areas that we should have. And we don't also have a defined process for earmarking or ring fencing records when they're identified as being within the scope of a live Freedom of Information request. So in terms of the requirements, we're now required to formally respond to the ICO by October 2026, setting out how we have addressed the recommendations. And over the period, and certainly over the period of the next few weeks, we'll be carefully reviewing the recommendations set out and preparing an action plan to address those. We've already commenced work on this in relation to carrying out data audits across all areas of the council. And this really will be a priority for us, a corporate priority, certainly over the next 6 months, and will report on progress in relation to this into the Policy and Resources Committee, and keep members updated in that regard. So I'm happy to take any questions, or certainly we can deliver updates through Policy and Resources.
Thanks for that, Jill, there. Oh, John?
Just a quick question. Do we have a dedicated Freedom of Information officer, or is it like a double job?
We have a small team that looks after freedom of information's. There's a large volume that comes into the organisation, so typically in the range of 600 to 700 freedom of information requests come in on an annual basis. So we have they come into a central point, and then they're triaged out to the areas where the information is contained, and that's how we manage the process.
Would we be thinking of maybe getting a dedicated Freedom of Information officer to kind of be the coordinating?
Certainly we'll be looking at resources. This specific request is really more into records retention. So as you'll know, there's a very large volume of records across the organisation, across all the service areas, and it's ensuring that those are dealt with according to the schedule that we have in place, and that we don't hold on to records for a longer duration than the schedule contains. So that's really the issue that has been eliminated.
Are you happy to note that, John? And can I have somebody to second, Councillor Brown? And everybody is okay? No other comments? So thank you for that, Jill. And now we're going to go into confidential. So I have a proposer, Councillor O'Reilly and Councillor And we wait for the heads up and then you give a little review and that's it. Isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
I keep forgetting bits.
Only 2 minutes ago.
He's naughty, that one down there. Thank you. I'll just pass over to Alison for a summary of the confidential.
Thank you very much, Chair. While in committee, the council confirmed and signed the confidential minutes of the council meeting held on the 5th of May. There were no matters arising, and also signed and confirmed the confidential minutes of the planning committee meeting, the environmental services committee meeting, and the regeneration and community committee meetings, and no matters arising from each of those committees. And finally, confirmed the confidential minutes of the policy and resources committee meeting from May, and there was a matter arising in relation to a human resource update, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, can we have a proposer, Thomas, and seconder, Victor? Thank you, and that's the end. And that's us. Yep, thank you.